Good evening. Happy freaking Friday, everybody. That was freaking. That was not the F-bomb. YouTube, don't go ahead and flag this video because, yes, we're still early in the video. How are you doing? What are you guys up to? Yes, I'm a little bit tardy this evening. Also struggling with a bit of a fever and some sickness. So we are going to limp through this Friday night frenzy the best that we can. What are you guys doing? How was your week? It was a crazy, crazy week. Always with these short weeks. I don't know why these short weeks are always as crazy as they are. But we have quite a docket. Rob, rest. I do that sometimes. Only 4 minutes late. I was only 4 minutes late. Rest. I try. I do. I promise. I sleep. We have a docket today. We have a lot to talk about. Everyone and their mother decided they wanted to be a PR this week. They wanted to go out on public relations tours. So we have statements from attorneys that shouldn't be saying anything. We have statements from people who shouldn't be saying anything. We have statements from a certain union that probably should have refrained from communicating a position that made no sense. So let's go ahead and get into it. Without further ado, let's roll the intro. See you guys on the back end in about 30 seconds. Okay, and we're back. So to help me along, because I'm struggling, as you're going to hear throughout the evening, I have some friends to join me. Mr. Kurt from Uncivil Law. How are you doing, friend?
I am in fantastic spirits, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. And
excellent.
I have Ian.
Hey.
How you doing?
I have some salt about Baldwin.
Just a bit. Have you reviewed any of it?
Baldwin-related salt?
Yeah, I did a live stream before this one, so hopefully you sort of got a bunch of people sent because I did the sort of live redirect thing.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'm glad he got charged.
Yeah, I have some remarks about the SAG statements.
Oh, did SAG say some things? I missed out on that.
They did. We're gonna have some fun with that one. I wonder if we should cover that one first. I'm debating. I don't know if we want to cover the FTX craziness that occurred with their former chief compliance officer filing a ridiculous declaration the day before a hearing.
Or he's not very good at his job, is what I would say. Is that in the declaration? I suck at my job.
He files this
really, really bad at it.
A sworn statement, and it's like you are admitting to any number of malfeasance in the declaration. You've got some set of stones. So yeah, so I pulled the audio from that hearing so we can go ahead and play some of that because that's fun to hear. And I have John Ray's declaration. It's probably the only time I've ever seen in a court filing someone refer to something as a literal dumpster fire several times. There's a whole section of his pleading that says dumpster fire.
And we would be slightly remiss if we didn't mention our mutual friend, Attorney Tom, going after Logan Paul with arbitrations. Go get it, Tom. Crush it.
What is going on? Like
I particularly like the part of the video where Logan Paul's like, we'll go after the ones that need to be held accountable, and he just bugs the camera like
it's the entire new year. What happened? The new year just went nuts. Like we had 1 week of reprieve where it seemed like things might go a little bit slow. And then all of a sudden, nope, we are way into it. So let me see here. My mods are asking for a little bit of help slowing this down. Sorry, guys. Gonna have to slow it down a bit. There we go.
People are enthused. And our friend Richard Hogue is doing even better.
That is
seems like he's walking and talking and doing all the things. So things are going pretty well.
Did you see my tweet the other yesterday?
I did. It was very encouraging.
Yeah,
or you said you built about Bill Murray and he did the line. It's like, what am I gonna say next?
He's doing all of our favorite things: walking, talking.
Yep, he is, and he's killing all the stuff. And I'm careful about what I do or do not reveal, but I think that there's just because I want to maintain that privacy and let them go about their healing process the way they want to. I will say that while someone is recovering from a stroke, you end up having to rebuild the filter in your head from brain to speech.
Hmm.
And you have
It
to
was
rebuild
filterless. That could be an interesting Richard Hogue.
I have to call Hogue. I gotta call him.
Can I get his number?
Filterless.
I have never laughed so hard than hearing half of the things that he was talking about.
Oh,
It
we need
was-
to get him on camera.
It was amazing. It was so wonderful to hear and talk to him.
For the good of the order.
Filterless.
It's for the good of the order that we get him on film as soon as possible.
No.
May or may not be good for him, but it's for the good of the order.
It was such a wonderful thing. And I see that Sharon's in the chat. Hi, Sharon. How are you? That was the highlight of my week, being able to talk to Rick on the phone. It was wonderful. David's in the chat. Rick said bad things about Rings of Power. But hey, he's got opinions, and he's not gonna, attorneys are historically well known for being some of the worst patients in the world because they question authority from everybody. Well, what do you mean?
Attorneys are also terrible clients. I will tell you that.
Yeah. So that was the highlight of my week.
Oh my God.
Oh man. And you know what? Good thing he doesn't have access to news right now, because he would be having so many spicy words about half the stuff you're seeing.
I kind of want to hear Hogue's spicy words before I die.
I so badly need to talk to him about be like, so Rick, Baldwin got charged, and this was the statement he released afterwards, and just be like, sit there in silence and wait till he responds. But yeah,
Baldwin's statement. I mean, Baldwin has given a number of stupid statements. His most recent statement after he got charged is the least dumb thing he's said in a long time.
Well, the attorney that issued that statement. Remember the attorney that issued the statement when the civil case was brought, and it was we looked him up. He was the PR. He was the PR attorney. He was not the criminal defense attorney.
Yeah,
same attorney.
Yeah, I know, same dude.
Why?
And then he was asked, "Are you going to be running the trial?" And he had no answer. And I'm like, "You are not, dude. Like, you are not. Oh my God, you are not."
Oh, this is beyond amazing. Not only that, but we also have, yes, there is still a GoFundMe for Rick. I will try to pin that in the chat. Give me 1 second, guys, while I do that. Cause I know that Sharon said that cap was set, but I also know,
Kat, I see your comment. Shoot me a message. I'm super curious.
That when we estimate the cost of rehab and the cost of getting back into the swing of things, we are always underestimating what the actual cost is going to be at the end. And to those that are willing to and want to donate, I'm going to go ahead and drop this in the chat so that people can see it. Because if you are willing to and wanting to donate to help out, please, I imagine that the family, I don't even just imagine, I know the family is so extremely appreciative of it. Here, I see a secret. I'm going to pin that.
And there's also, some people don't like GoFundMe. There is a Give, Send, Go.
There is.
So that's also an option.
And I will try to add that to the description of the video as well afterwards. So here's what we've got this evening. Did you guys hear the rundown of what we're going to try and make it through?
Yeah,
Yes.
One of them I have to bow out for because I'm going to try to do a live react sometime
Which
later
one?
to the Idaho public defender.
The Cuomo interview?
All of his interviews, because he just can't shut up.
I'm just watching
the Pennsylvania one. Oh, he's a lot of
Cuomo.
fun. I wouldn't recommend watching it. It makes just make you sad.
The Cuomo interview.
I don't think sad is what it's going to make me.
Okay,
Yeah.
well.
All the curse words were coming out, so we're going to save that one till the end because I'm going to need the swear jar to be pretty full by the time I start taking that one on. But hey, let's talk Sam Bankman. Oh, I got to swoop. Swoop.
There we go.
Okay. There we go. Let's talk Sam Bankman-Fried. So, our favorite little crypto thief slash fraudster.
I was going to say, I think it's more fraud.
Retook to Twitter this week. Like in serious form.
Did he join Logan Paul to search for the real fraudsters?
He created he created a Substack and he
Oh,
started
good.
writing out everything.
That's good.
Everything.
Him and OJ, I think, are starting a private investigation firm.
Oh
Excellent.
my gosh, Ian. Terrible. Terrible. So let's go ahead and see what he was tweeting out this week. So he took to Twitter and I was going, what got you back on Twitter going so wild?
What attorney allowed you to have your Twitter account back?
Look at all this. Everything is he's retweeting all these different comments. This is his Twitter activity from this week.
This is where I, as his attorney, am going into court and being like, yeah, we need to have some restrictions on my client.
Oh, and you know what this is for my congressional my drafted congressional testimony in December, Mr. Bankman-Fried. What did you just do? You just re-embraced that testimony and actually put it out there as your own. At this point in time, we had speculated that was yours because Forbes had run with it. You just confirmed that was the case.
Great.
I'm
Nice.
pretty sure that if I was his lawyer at this point, I'd be like, hey, you'll notice on the bill that there's a disbursement for a baseball bat. Also, I'm coming over to your house to smack you with it for please get the hell off Twitter. This is a legal expense. You are paying it.
He's all over Twitter and he's so mad. He and John J. Ray was the CEO that took his place. I want to get the two of them in a room together so badly. I just want to see those fireworks.
Oh, man.
So what started everything? Why did he go back on Twitter? Why did he start doing all of this stuff?
Brain damage.
Oh, well, I mean, you could speculate that. So he does a pre-mortem overview. You know, it's a great thing to do when you've been indicted by the federal government for committing all sorts of financial crimes.
Whatever Sam Bankman-Fried is not doing at any particular time.
Exactly. Whatever you want to. So the best thing you can do when you have been indicted by the federal government for having committed financial crimes is give a summary of all of the different transactions that took place prior to your arrest. In mid-November, FTX International became effectively insolvent. The FTX saga at the end of the day is somewhere between that of Voyager and Celsius. Three things combined together to cause the implosion. Then it goes Alameda's sheet. We've been through all of this stuff before, but he just tries to explain it. Here's the thing. Sam Bankman-Fried he has to be the smartest person in the room.
And he never has been.
He has to be this. I'm not going to subscribe to you, buddy. He has to be the smartest person in the room. And he refuses to just take the L or just stop talking.
He's going to take some L's.
Oh, he's taking them left, right, and center.
The justice system has a way of handing you an L that you don't get to refuse.
So it's ridiculous that FTX US users haven't been made whole and gotten their funds back yet. Gee, Mr. Bankman-Fried, I wonder why. Maybe don't put that in writing 9 million times.
So what are you accusing the new CEO of? Purposefully withholding funds from the
That'll be quoted on sentencing, by the way.
That'd be good.
We'll get there.
That's a line that'll be quoted on sentencing.
Everything this guy says is going to be quoted on sentencing. Everything.
FTX US is fully solvent all it did. Well, the guy who undid Enron seems to disagree with you. I'm going to defer to him for the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Non-U.S. exchanges run outside the U.S. There's the jurisdictional argument again. It was primarily headquartered, run from, and incorporated in the Bahamas as FTX markets, and limited U.S. customers onboarded to the still solvent FTX U.S. exchange. Senators have raised concern about potential conflict of interest from Sullivan and Cromwell. Contrary to S&C's statement that they had a limited and largely transactional relationship with FTX, S&C was one of FTX's International's two primary law firms prior to bankruptcy, and was FTX US's primary law firm. FTX US general counsel came from S&C, Sullivan Cromwell. They worked with FTX US in the most important regulatory application. They worked with FTX International on some of its more important regulatory concerns, and they worked with FTX US on its most important transaction. When I would visit New York City, I would sometimes work out of S&C's office. So this is the crux of his argument. The crux of his argument right now is that Sullivan and Cromwell is driving him crazy because he says that they were FTX's general counsel and they should be disqualified from representing FTX in the bankruptcy proceedings. Well, that represents a fundamental misunderstanding of, bankruptcy law and the size of Sullivan Cromwell. is not a small law firm. They put in partitions in place, and not only that, but in the bankruptcy code, if you were to try and do a restructuring of a large company or even a small company, if you had to disqualify every attorney that's ever counseled any potential client of that company, creditor of that company, or otherwise, you would disqualify every attorney in the entire country. So you have to have a mechanism in place that allows for you to appoint outside conflict counsel, where in the event the investigation goes into Sullivan Cromwell, it gets passed off to conflict counsel to do the investigation. So this was the crux of Sam Bankman-Fried's freak out. And it was made worse when John Ray came out this week and gave a Wall Street Journal interview. I think John Ray is throwing salt and just throws salt in the wound. I mean,
I would be so tempted if I was on the other side on this one to just wind up Bankman-Fried.
What statement is this? This is the first time I've seen this statement, and I'm having horror shows flash in my mind.
Which one? The WS?
I'm still waiting for him to finally admit FTX US is solvent and give customers their money back.
Oh, I know.
Holy shit!
Oh, that's
really? Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So Ray's the bad guy. Ray's the one who is withholding all the customer money and won't
jail.
The clearly solvent company. Wow. Why don't we just wow. I don't even know where to start.
I want these two in the same room together because John Ray, he might have a couple decades on Sam Bankman-Fried. Look at that man. I think he'd.
Oh, no, he'll kick his ass. My money's on Ray. Oh, for sure.
I just want to be there on the other side of the glass so I can tap the glass just to.
Amazing.
Mr. Ray is finally paying lip service and turning the exchange back up. What the hell are you talking? What?
Yep. So John,
I'm sorry, but
you just have to twirl your mustache in open public. I mean, come on. Wow.
I'm just gonna say, like, who at this point would be like, you know what? I've been really waiting to put some money into FTX right now.
So this is a great question, Brenda Plunkett. Who is Ray? John J. Ray III is the CEO. First of all, John J. Ray III, not to be mistaken with Ray, who helped Linda and her tight little clam.
What?
Inside joke. John J. Ray III was the CEO that was brought in to restructure Enron, and was the CEO that when Sam Bankman-Fried passed over all ownership, he passed over the CEO mantle to John J. Ray to effectively restructure and reorganize FTX and its other enterprises. So Ray he's a boss. He's a CEO that basically comes into distressed companies and then sorts them out and gets them through bankruptcy liquidation. And that's what it happens. And we're going to get to some of his statements in just a minute, because he sounded off this week. But yeah. So Ray made a statement this week that he could possibly see that FTX might open as an exchange under new organization, new management, new structure. Essentially, you pick everything up, you reorganize it to make it appropriate and proper, and then you get it running again. It's a possibility that he's not kind of just taking out of the realm of different outcomes from this company. FTX has already sold off a couple of their different enterprises and entities. They've already offloaded a bunch of the fat. The Miami Heat basketball stadium.
This kind of feels like the sort of thing where you rehabilitate it by just applying fire.
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be.
Burn it with fire. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Ray says that the more he gets open to, the more you get into this recreating the customer accounts and recreating everything, the more you find out, and the more you start to set up proper systems, the more it looks like that this might be within the realm of possibility. Not to say it's the first, second, or third option, but it's not something he's going to take off the table. So, but Sam Bankman-Fried was not happy about that, and apparently he's extremely concerned about customer money, very concerned about customer money. So why does he then go and requote all of these different tweets? And who is this person, Mr. Friedberg, who he mentions in here? Let's get to that, because that's kind of fun.
Is it fun, or is it like I'm going to want to stab everybody in the eyes.
No, you won't. You're going to like the spice. So let's go with John Ray. Dun dun dun. John Ray.
Gen D, you are 100% correct.
All right, let's go ahead and make this guy a little bit bigger.
Just let me know when SBF starts filing formal declarations in court, just for the hell of it.
He filed a motion.
He's going to file his Substack as a formal as an exhibit. Too.
He did file a motion asking the court to please let him get his money back, so he could use it for his criminal defense.
No,
his money.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. His money that he took from FTX and Alameda and purchased different shares of. Yeah,
I know I'm charged with bank robbery, but I really need the contents of the bag with the dollar sign on it. Can I have those, please?
Yep, that is probably the best analogy you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. So, supplemental declaration of John J. Ray III in support of the debtor's application for orders authorizing retention and employment of Sullivan Cromwell. People have been asking me why they have to do this. When a company files Chapter 11 bankruptcy, that entity has hired a law firm to get it through what's called first day motions, the motions that essentially allow for the company to be temporarily limp along while you have access to the cash, you have access to different things, and you want to start hiring different liquidators, people that go in and do appraisals, people that go in and kind of assess the value of certain items. So you actually have to ask court approval to stay on as counsel for the company. There's various reasons why the court would disqualify you. For example, if the company was 3 owners and one of the owners was the attorney that was then bringing it through bankruptcy and acting as bankruptcy counsel, you might disqualify that person because they have a vested interest in the company. So a lot of this is about declarations that essentially give factual basis to the world to say, these are our conflicts. This is how we're going to handle it. Because there are conflicts of interest that exist in every one of these cases. And it's about information that flows. So, John Ray, I'm the chief executive officer of the above captioned debtors and debtors in possession. I submit this supplemental declaration in further support of debtors' application for an order authorizing the retention and employment of Sullivan and Cromwell. Scrolling on, because that's a lot of just stuff. I have reviewed and am familiar with the contents of the applications, the Diedrich Declaration and Supplemental Declaration of Andrew Diedrich in support of the S&C application, the Declaration of Alexa Cransley in support of the S&C application, the Supplemental Declaration of William A. Bruck in support of the Quinn application, and the Supplemental Declaration of Matthew Evans. It's a bunch of testimony by different people. Okay. This is in response to the objections by Warren Winter and Mr. Richard Brumman. These are 2 creditors of FTX who filed objections to Sullivan and Cromwell being the counsel for the debtors. Except as otherwise indicated, the facts set forth herein are based on my personal knowledge from my review of the relevant documents, information provided to me by employees working under my supervision, or my opinion based on restructuring and legal experience. My appointment.
Putting comes to fire.
Isn't that great?
Hello.
Page 2. So my appointment.
I like it.
I am the chief executive officer of the debtors, having accepted this position in early morning hours of November 11th, 2022. I am administering the interests and affairs of the debtors from my offices in the United States. Headline, or the heading, putting out a dumpster fire, our first 70 days. This is illegal filing. On November 17th, I submitted to this court my declaration in support of Chapter 11 petitions and first day pleadings. I incorporate that first day declaration herein as if set forth in its entirety. On December 13th, I testified before the Financial Services Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives. Attached as Exhibit A here too is a true and correct copy of my prepared remarks I submitted to the Financial Services Committee. And then as Exhibit B is the transcript of my testimony before that same committee. I have reviewed the transcript and it is an accurate account of my testimony that day. So now we might be starting to see why Mr. Bankman-Fried was flipping out. So as I stated in the Ray first day declaration, the committee prepared remarks in the committee testimony. I have over 40 years of legal and restructuring experience. That is longer than Mr. Bankman-Fried has been alive. I have been the chief restructuring officer or chief executive officer in several of the largest corporate failures in history. I have supervised situations involving the allegations of criminal activity and malfeasance, Enron. I have supervised situations involving novel financial structures, Enron and resident capital, and cross-border asset recovery and maximization, Nortel and overseas shipholding. Nearly every situation in which I have been involved has been characterized by defects of some sort in internal controls, regulatory compliance, human resources, and systems integrity. The negative impact of the irresponsible actions of the FTX founders is difficult to measure. Their actions have complicated the basic tasks that a typical Chapter 7 debtor accomplishes either just before or immediately following the Chapter 11 filing. Among other things, the founders' actions have put customers and assets at untold risk. They have required round-the-clock policing of blockchain and exchanges to identify, locate, and recover and pursue assets. They have required the creation of security protocols to protect located assets. They have required the construction, in many cases from scratch, of reliable financial and accounting books and records. They have required near constant interaction with state and federal regulatory and criminal authorities, and they have required the creation, again from scratch, of best-in-class corporate governance. All of this has required the devotion of enormous time and energy from a literal army of advisors, an army led by S&C working under my supervision. Pretty accurate.
Yep.
Oh, this is lovely.
You
don't often get to use dumpster fire in filings.
No.
Who would like to do a dramatic reading of paragraph 9? Because this is a fun one. This is shade, and this is probably like one that he typed up the night before and was like, you know what, leave it in.
Can I do it with the voice changer?
What voice?
I don't know.
No, I was thinking about doing it in a certain dragon's voice.
I've got creepy doll as an option.
Do you want to do Blackleaf?
Do Blackleaf.
Well, golly gee whiz, the advisors working at my direction have worked tirelessly and nonstop for the last 70 days to take control over what can only be described as a dumpster fire in order to stop assets from being depleted and take action to realize value related to debtors' assets. These advisors are not villains in this case. The villains are being pursued by appropriate criminal authorities, largely as a result of information support they're receiving at my direction from debtor advisors. Well, golly gee whiz, guys, that sounds really complicated. Through efforts and cooperation supplied to federal prosecutors, which is ongoing, 2 individuals have pled guilty and another has been charged. This is not a whodunit puzzle in which the parties lack knowledge about what transpired. The debtors, through declaration in my case, my congressional testimony, most importantly, tireless work of federal prosecutors and admissions of those who pled guilty, have made it quite clear exactly what transpired, how it occurred, who was principally involved in the result of their actions. Well, golly gee whiz, sounds like a lot of people did a lot of nefarious things to me.
Take a deep breath. You're going to need it after that one. So yeah, essentially, dumpster fire. But why are we talking about this right now? Well, there was a last-minute filing the night before the pleading, and we'll pull that up in a second, but I wanted to kind of give some people the audio of that hearing so that we can kind of listen into what was happening. And I did turn the volume up, so hopefully it's loud enough for you guys to hear. I'm going to skip around a little bit, but I do want to at least let the beginning of it play for a bit just to give us some context. This was from today's hearing, so it is hot off the presses. This is today's hearing. So let's go ahead and see what we can hear here.
The issues with the Office of the U.S. Trustee, and noting that the Unsecured Creditors Committee has filed a statement in support. The only objection that is, there are 2 objections that are remaining from a Mr. Winter and a Mr. Drummond. They are represented by counsel here today. I would just like to, before we get going on that, Your Honor, just give a short preview of the issues, and then I understand that they have certain things that they would like to say.
So he's going to walk through essentially what the issues that are present, but pay attention to some of his language here, because there's a person that's on the Zoom call who was not invited to the Zoom call, who's waving his hands around while this argument's being made.
Yeah, Brooks?
Wait, what?
A la Darryl Brooks. Yeah. So, yep.
Wait,
Talking
what?
to an empty court. No, they just released the audio. So it's Zoom audio. So that's what we've got to work on. So I put that little court background. So I'm not just listening to audio. So you guys have at least some visualization of what's happening.
But wait, what? Somebody is sitting there waving, going,
Yep. So no, you won't see them, but you'll hear them talk about it. So this is all audio only. So in court, they can see each other. The Zoom hearing they can see, but they only release publicly the audio from these hearings, kind of like Supreme Court. Now the benefit is, here's the thing. This is better than all the other district courts. At least we have audio of what takes place.
That's true. Respect that.
To be able to and they have a YouTube channel. That's how I was hearing this today. They have a YouTube. They go live on YouTube. The Bankruptcy Court for Delaware.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just trying to find a good soundboard moment for that. Because
Well, in honor of Rob saying that he had a fever, more cowbell.
I got a fever for more cowbell. All right, let's listen to Mr. Bromley. He's the attorney for FTX, the debtors, and he is from Sullivan Cromwell, asking to be appointed as counsel for the debtors in this case.
Your Honor, with respect to the matter before you today, we have two witnesses. We have Mr. Ray and Mr. Dieterich. They have both submitted declarations and supplemental declarations. In Mr. Dieterich's case, a second supplemental declaration. We believe that the disclosure issues have been fully resolved. We have been, as I noted, in constant contact with the Office of the U.S. Trustee and exchanged voluminous amounts of information. We believe that the disclosure that has been filed, the supplemental disclosure, is fully sufficient. As Mr. Ray mentions in his declaration, what we're talking about here, Your Honor, is a need to move on. One of the things that the debtors have been facing generally in these cases is assault by Twitter. It is very difficult, Your Honor, to cross-examine a tweet, particularly tweets that are being issued by individuals who are under criminal indictment and whose travel is restricted, so to speak.
I had the benefit of not being on Twitter.
Who could he be talking about?
What people are saying on Twitter about this.
Well, Your Honor, to a certain extent, you are brought into it because of the objections that reference those things. And it is, frankly, difficult in these circumstances to try to respond to all of those things all at once. And so we have decided not to do so. Our view is that the issues should be addressed in court in a formal manner, and that those who have things to say should come to court and say those things, subject to cross-examination, subject to the rules of the court, and that is the way that we intend to proceed. With respect to the application, Your Honor, I do note that there was a declaration, a document filed on the court's docket last night that is
We're going to take a look at that in a minute.
Characterized as a declaration by an individual who's a former legal officer within the FTX group. I know that Mr. Winter and Mr. Brumman's counsel have requested that this hearing be adjourned as a result of that filing. And, Your Honor, we are opposed to any such adjournment. We've already gone 70 days into these cases. An enormous amount of work has been done. There's already been an adjournment of these retention applications. We believe, Your Honor, that it is imperative that we put this stage of the case, the retention of professionals, aside, complete that, and move on to the next stage. Now, we do know that we have an examiner motion that's been filed by the U.S. trustee, and we will deal with that on February 6th. But the fact is, Your Honor, if there was an adjournment made as a result of the filing by Mr. Friedberg, which followed hot on the heels of two very long and rambling tweets that were filed by Mr. Bankman-Fried, not filed.
Hey, we saw those.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but posted and cited by objectors. I think it's virtually certain that such activity is going to continue. and that if we simply agreed to adjourn something today, or Your Honor decided that it was appropriate, we would simply be faced by additional attacks on Twitter and additional random things that are filed. Now, with respect to Mr. Friedberg's filing, that filing is not on behalf of any particular party. Mr. Friedberg claims to be a creditor, but he doesn't style it as an objection. It was filed late. It was filed, frankly, it's a little bizarre if you sit down and read it. But, Your Honor, our view is that it has no place in the court. It should be stricken from the record, and the hearing should go forward with the two witnesses that we have, to the extent that counsel for Mr. Winter and Mr. Brumman have any questions.
I have a new theory as to who the waving person is.
Well, let's go here.
Last night, the entire rest of the stadium being empty.
Submitting, he didn't even file.
I'm just getting the judge's ruling on this.
All right. I'm going to deny the motion for continuance. The declaration was filed, but Mr. Friedberg didn't file a motion. He didn't even file a joinder to a motion. He just filed a declaration saying that he was submitting a declaration in support of somebody else's motion. That's not inappropriate. Procedurally, it's not appropriate. And I've read the declaration, and frankly, it's full of hearsay, innuendo, speculation, rumors. It's certainly not something I would allow to be introduced into evidence in any event. And so I will deny the motion for a continuance, and we'll go forward with the application.
All right, hang on one second.
Your Honor, if I can just make a note from the record, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't.
You need to come up to the.
I apologize.
SBF?
Nope. Attorney for the objectors.
I'd be remiss if I did not note for the record that, as Your Honor was speaking just then, Mr. Friedberg appeared twice on the Zoom screen here and waved his hand. He's apparently in virtual attendance at this meeting.
Oh my God. Please help me.
I feel as though I should apologize for the kind of circus aspect of his showing up in this way. Again, I'm surprised as anyone by this development, but I just feel that's a fact that I should note for the record so that it's preserved.
I understand. I did see him, and I did not recognize him intentionally because, as I said, he has not filed a motion. He has not joined any motion. He is simply trying to be a witness, I suppose, but witnesses are not allowed unless they're here live. So.
Understood, Your Honor. As I said, purely noting for the record, we are prepared to go ahead with argument on the application of the objection, and so with that, I will take my seat once again.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
So, without further, oh, look, we have company.
Long tube salute.
Mike, have you seen that Emily has one of those now?
I've heard. Rob private messages me. He's like, I'm not gonna bring you in. I'm like, good, because I'm gonna crap all over this hearing with my goat. Wise play, my friend.
Yeah, so because it was playing really quietly and softly, and I was like, if I bring Mike in right now, there's gonna be a screaming goat. We're not gonna hear anything.
That's the problem with Friday night is it's after my happy hour stream, so I'm never behaved.
I know, it's fine. So Emily's goat.
That implies you're behaved before your happy hour stream.
Yeah, that's true.
She broke the ear off of it, and this is just an example of how brilliant Chat is. Chat renamed her goat Vincent Van Goat.
Very nice. Very nice.
Pretty good, right?
I like it.
So
I have to say, I have not.
Mine is Little Debbie after little Mikey. So yeah,
that's pretty good
out there.
I also heard she's been playing around with the combination of the goat and the voice changer.
It was epic. The goat was played through the voice changer, and you can't unhear that once you hear it.
I'll get a screaming vote for the voice changer that we got.
But
Is it-
so
oh,
Mike, that was
I
some
keep seeing references to that. Whose channel? That's on Emily's channel?
what the screaming goat through the voice changer.
The voice changer? Yeah.
Yeah, that was on hers. It was
All
one
right.
of her like
I'm gonna
members
have to
only
check out
channels.
that stream.
It was really funny.
Yep, there it is.
So, Mike, that was some sovereign citizen stuff. The dude just files a declaration, shows up, and starts waving his hands at the judge to try and get the judge's attention to let him testify.
Oh Lord.
A whole new world of stupid.
It never ends.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I
it really
thought,
doesn't.
what was the one? Daryl Brooks. I thought Daryl Brooks in Wisconsin just, drives into a crowd of people, complete embarrassment, makes a fool of himself, mass murderer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He claims this. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to shame a few people out of this. It's already stupid, but like, you just think,
No, the people who do this have no shame. You
Yeah.
can't shame them out of it because this is it's not just a foreign concept. It's like asking a fish its opinion on, skydiving, right? It's just like, I can't understand the question you're asking me.
yeah,
So
that's wild.
yeah.
So, the person that was waving his hand, though, was the former chief compliance officer for FTX. FTX, which is currently in bankruptcy, has had a case filed against it by the SEC. Bankman-Fried, who's currently indicted, and the compliance officer said, "You know what? This is a great time for me, who was in charge of setting up and maintaining compliance with existing law. Let's go ahead and file a sworn statement in a case where I haven't been called as a witness."
So we have subset stuff in this.
It's not just soft sit. It is
the
everybody
FTX?
thinking that they are smarter than everybody else. I have never seen a week of so many people making stupid statements and coming out and giving voluntary admissions against their own interest. The entire week was full of it. You have Baldwin, you have this guy, Friedberg.
Baldwin thing, I don't know.
SPF.
I literally came on here to have you guys tell me about Baldwin because I don't know about it. FTX blows my mind, and I am not conspiratorial minded person generally, but like literally, and I don't know, I don't have a conspiracy, a specific one. I'm just saying this is so effing stupid.
It
I
feels
don't
like there
know
should
how
be a
it occurs
conspiracy.
in the without a conspiracy, like people above them saying, yeah, we're going to let this go for a while because we've got some agenda if it supports. I don't even know what it is. I'm not making accusations. I'm just saying that's how dumb this is. I don't see how it even gets off the ground without that.
The agenda is just like the Society for the Promotion of Stupid, and they meet every day, everywhere on the planet because it's the most popular club out there.
Yeah.
It's terrible. John Ray, the new CEO, called it a dumpster fire in legal pleadings.
Yeah.
And unwinding the dumpster fire that is FTX.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that the court was like, you know what? Normally I would say that this is inappropriate, but
fair.
Right.
Send it. Send it.
Although, goes back. I mean, you guys know about it, but we should be some younger people won't know. But like Enron, same thing. But this is even more vacuous somehow. Like Enron, they got some buildings and there's some energy, and it sounds like this is just BS from the get.
I mean,
everything.
Enron, at least there's a product, right?
I don't know how any of these people believe they had any confidence in any of these people.
It's amazing. It's amazing that they did or they maintained any. Who trusted them? Like, who was giving them money and saying, you know what? I trust everything.
They had all these celebrity endorsements and stuff with like flamethrowers. And, I always do my financial decision making on the basis of who's got a celebrity with a flamethrower. That seems like wise investment strategy. But, people, how are people going to know, right? So, yeah.
What a disaster. So let's take a look at this stupidity that this guy files.
Yeah, and I see, unfortunately, pension funds were who trusted this.
Yeah, every teacher, like all the teachers' pensions trusted this guy. Which
I feel like the teachers should be permitted to line up and lecture the guy, because some teachers have some real good lecturing ability, and that might be just top notch. They should also be provided with a voice changer for it.
Oh, they should.
And maybe a screaming goat.
So this dude, Daniel Friedberg, without representation of counsel, files this declaration, modeling it after the other ones that have been filed in the case. You've seen this before, where they look and download the pleadings and they try to match it to what it is, or what they've seen in the past. So he files this, and the first thing out of the objector's mouth when he's making his argument is, we have not talked to this person. We do not know this person. We didn't teach them how to do it. We didn't write this, like distancing themselves from this guy any way they can. So I'm a citizen, permanent resident of the U.S. I am over 18, competent to make the declaration. I'm admitted to practice of law in the state of Washington. Probably shouldn't admit that. I served as chief compliance officer of Western Realm Shires Services and chief regulatory officers of FTX Trading Limited until I resigned, as further described below. Shouldn't admit that either. I submit this declaration in support of Mr. Warren Winter's objection to application for order authorizing retention of Sullivan Cromwell. Blah, blah, blah. My standing as a creditor. I purchased a total of 25 Bitcoin relatively early on in the growth of Bitcoin at about 300 or less. Like most employees for the debtors, I transferred my Bitcoin to the FTX US crypto exchange in reliance on FTX US disclosures that FTX US customer assets were fully backed 1-to-1 and that cryptocurrency held by FTX US on behalf of customers was owned by those customers and not FTX US. As of the date of this declaration, this Bitcoin would have been worth in excess of 500,000. Okay. So he lost a bunch of money. So that gives him, that is what he is saying. I'm a creditor. I am owed money. That gives me standing to be here. Talks about Solana that he purchased. He's been unable to log into FTX US exchange since I returned my computer to FTX US after my resignation, therefore lacks access to documentation of the above. Well, that's interesting. So that's just not verified statements that you just made. Okay. Sure. My role with the debtors. I was introduced to Sam Bankman-Fried by his father, who was a prominent tax professor at Stanford. I represented Alameda Research and then FTX International as outside counsel. Shouldn't admit that. When I served as
Stanford really is not coming off well here.
No, really, I thought they were like the third best law school in the country, but I'm having second thoughts about that one.
I'm not even sure that at this point they'd be like the third best cafeteria at the country. Like, what are they doing?
Oh, God. Yeah. So outside counsel, when I served as chair of FinTech group for an outside law firm, blah, blah, blah. At that time, Sam left Jane Street to form his own trading firm. Let's follow this guy. He knows what he's doing. In early 2020, when Sam decided to form FTX US, I left my law firm to work full-time for certain of the debtors. My primary role was to focus on licensing and to help hire a legal staff, including general counsel for the various companies owned or controlled by Sam. Good job. Good job. Ultimately, the debtors hired over a dozen lawyers, including the general counsel for FTX US, Ryan Miller, the general counsel for FTX International, Ken Soon, and the general counsel for FTX Ventures, Tim Wilson, as well as counsel for the Europe, Australia, and Japan operations and Bahamian counsel. The goal was for the general counsels to report directly to Sam whenever possible in the case of FTX International, the president of FTX US in the case of FTX US, and to the CEO of Alameda in the case of FTX Ventures. And we made a lot of progress towards this, but I did oversee all lawyers as needed to efficiently deliver legal services to the organization.
Why would you be putting any of this in writing right now?
When there are indictments against every single person that's a principal of this company.
It's like you see a bunch of people getting loaded into the back of a police van in handcuffs, and you're like, ooh, me.
Yeah. Me
like,
too.
I'm with them, guys.
It would look a lot more like, what's an FTX? That'd be my declaration.
Yeah, I'd be like, I may have met these people once at a party, but I was drunk and I don't remember. Like, that's kind of where you want to be landing on this. Or just, the tried old classic of just keeping your full mouth shut.
Yeah. So in 2021, the president of FTX US made the decision to hire Ryan Miller as general counsel for FTX US and counsel for Alameda and FTX International. So he's the general counsel for all three enterprises. Salary paid by FTX US and Alameda, but services also performed for FTX International in addition to the other entities. Mr. Miller was a partner at Sullivan & Cromwell, and his background was with CFTC licensing and SEC matters. So different division of the law firm, different matters. This law firm is massive. Mr. Miller positioned himself as being the answer to the licensing efforts of Ledger X and an expert on CFTC matters. Mr. Miller also emphasized his familiarity with SEC officials, often referring to the SEC commissioner as Gary and explaining to FTX personnel what Gary would or wouldn't do. This is just, what's the relevance? Indeed, Mr. Miller had
Is this
previously
like
worked
for a
the
Klondike
SEC.
bar, or
This is trying to establish everything about this declaration goes with hyperbolic innuendo. It's suggesting that there was some relationship between Miller and the SEC that's nefarious because he called him by his first name. So it's like me referring to Joe Biden as Uncle Joe. People call him that, or just anybody. Indeed, Mr. Miller previously worked for the SEC commissioner and emphasized a close relationship with him at every possible opportunity. So what? After being hired, Mr. Miller came to me and asked if he could engage Sullivan Cromwell as counsel for the debtors. I responded that as general counsel, it was his role to generally approve outside counsel for FTX US. Okay. So Mr. Miller informs him essentially that he's a rainmaker for S&C. Okay, that's fine.
Every firm, and certainly Sullivan and Cromwell, has a conflicts check. You run it when you take on new representation. This isn't like rocket science. This is daily activity. That should catch this if it's an issue. If it's not, stop bitching about it.
Mr. Miller often reminisced that his mentors at S&C were partners Andrew Dietrich, who's counsel on this case, and Mitchell Eitel, and that he would do anything to help those partners and look forward to returning as a partner at S&C after his stint at the debtors.
anything?
So
Never
what?
put you would do anything in any legal document. Like that's just
seriously.
As a lawyer, I love statements like, you know, they would do anything. It's like, oh, good. We're going to cross-examine on that point. Testing my soundboard. I think it's working now.
So,
and the pups have opinions too.
Yeah, everyone has opinions. This guy comes and makes all these different statements and assertions about the different roles that S&C played. Here's the biggest problem.
So let me just get this straight. It's the other guys who are unethical, corrupt, and I am the righteous, ethical one.
Yes.
Everybody was unethical in the room except me.
The guy who was responsible for compliance at FTX.
Nailed it.
I was so good at my job that I definitely have credibility here.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So then he goes on to explain that Miller kind of said, please engage Sullivan Cromwell to file the bankruptcy. We have to file bankruptcy. I'm sorry, but attorneys are rather persuasive when you are facing complete and utter collapse. And when they're begging you to take legal steps to protect the interest of your clients, yeah, they're persuading you to do that crap. That's what their job is.
Yeah. Protect the company. If you're if you're counsel for the company, your duty is to the company. So as lawyer for the company, it's like, well, we need to preserve the assets of the company such as they are because of this complete nightmare fuel. So bankruptcy seems like the best interest of the company. That's exactly what you should do.
Oh, and here we go.
Puppies really have opinions.
They're really pissed. I then told Mr. Miller that FTX US should not file bankruptcy at all until it was certain there was insufficient assets at FTX US.
No, let's run it even more into the ground somehow. And we're certain. Yeah, it's like an old joke. It's like I accidentally shot him. Okay, we got to make sure he's dead. Bang. Okay, now what?
Indeed, the tech team checked the wallets and had told the FTX International General Counsel at the time of the disclosure of the customer deficit that FTX US was not affected. I told Mr. Miller that FTX US crypto exchange needed to be retained, if at all possible, and sold as an ongoing concern to allow preferred shareholders to be paid back. Mr. Miller said that he needed to include FTX US as part of the bankruptcy because FTX US had the cash to pay S&C its retainer. Without this retainer from FTX US, S&C wouldn't file. I told him it wasn't proper for FTX US to pay for the expenses of the bankruptcy of the FTX International Group or the Alameda Group. You guys,
stop talking.
This is what the judge goes into. This represents a fundamental misunderstanding of bankruptcy and corporate bankruptcy. Everything was operating under the umbrella of one or two of these entities, and the entities have the ability to indemnify each other and to pay cash out of this. Not to mention the bankruptcy itself has already trimmed a lot of fat in executory contracts and sponsorship deals. Riot Games got let out, by the way. Ian, I told you that. So they're free to go and find new sponsors. Miami Heat got let out, so they're free to find a new sponsor for their stadium, and FTX doesn't have to pay them that money. And 2 of the different enterprises under FTX have already been sold to get money back. So you're already seeing the company being essentially restructured slowly. I mean, 70 days, this is pretty quick.
Yeah, especially for something this hard to untangle. I mean,
yeah.
Seems like he's moving with deliberate speed to me.
Yep. So I have had several disturbing interactions with S&C following the bankruptcy filing. Why would they not want to talk to you? Maybe because you were the former chief compliance officer of an entity that they were going into and realizing was a dumpster fire, and you probably had nothing to add. So, in my first call with the S&C female partner who specialized in white-collar crime, I forget her name, generally not a good thing to put in a declaration.
Yeah, if you're swearing an affidavit, I forget their name is like suitable for somebody like, I met this person at a bar once, and never for something where you could actually just look it up. Like,
look it up.
How do you know it was a partner? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know, because you don't remember the name.
You also like look it up. Like you go on their firm webpage. Most firms now have like pictures of the lawyers, and you're like, it's this one right here. Or you phone the firm and are like, hey, who was it I talked to? You know, because that'll be on your bill. You don't just,
If you can't remember their name, don't put them in a filing.
Well, this is why I put them in the filing. The person, I cannot remember who was named, indicated to him that S&C was representing all the companies and that all assets had been combined. I started to explain to this unnamed person that I can't remember that there were unwaivable conflicts considering the bankruptcy as described above between the entities. She told me that the conflicts rules do not apply in the bankruptcy context. I was later told by other counsel that this is not correct. So now we've got 3 layers of hearsay. Can't remember the name of the person that said it. This was a knowingly false statement made to me in violation of New York ethical rules by an attorney. I have no idea who it is. That prohibits a lawyer from making a false statement of fact or law made to third persons in the course of representation. That's a bold assertion, considering
you can't remember the name. How do we know you remember?
I don't know who this person is or what they said, but they're totally unethical, and you should disbar them. Like, come on.
Or that she was a New York attorney, because you're citing New York ethical rules. What do you know how big Sullivan Cromwell is?
Yeah.
Oh, this makes me want the violence.
It was the person he spoke to.
You were the unnamed female partner at the Sullivan Cromwell.
Yeah.
You had the voice changer on.
Yeah.
Oh, I asked how much he would charge me for this personal representation. He said it would likely be in the hundreds of thousands and under 1 million, but that I could rest assured that he would get the debtors to pay because the lawyers are always paid first.
That's true in the bankruptcy rules. I remember the hierarchy.
Yeah, their administrative cost to administering the estate.
Right.
I was horrified at the thought that customer assets were being used to frivolously pay lawyers at the behest of S&C. I did not hire this lawyer. You are an idiot. You are an idiot. The lawyers get paid first because they're administering the estate. They are doing all of the work to get money to everybody else.
Yeah.
They get paid to do that.
Well, and also just think practically, like, hey, who wants to be the lawyer on this bankruptcy where there is literally not enough money to pay everyone? You get paid last. Would be, I have some thoughts if they came to me with that offer, and those thoughts are, you got 10 seconds, start running. Like, yeah.
So finally, I approached S&C and asked them to waive my attorney-client privilege solely for the purpose of aiding the FBI, the SEC, and CFTC and regulators in their investigation. Interesting. S&C has repeatedly refused this request and attempted to muzzle me.
Wait, I don't understand. I fundamentally don't understand.
You can't ask.
I don't even understand. I don't even understand what he's asking them to do. It's like, if he's the client and they're the attorneys,
but he's not the client.
If he wants to talk to the FBI, I don't even understand what's happening right now.
I asked him to waive my attorney-client privilege, so he's the one that can waive it, not them. And plus, he doesn't have the privilege for FTX. He's the former compliance officer. He can't waive it on behalf of FTX.
Yeah, so this doesn't make sense either way. One of two things is true. He's either the client, in which case he doesn't need their permission to just talk to the FBI. He can just do it. Or he's the lawyer for FTX, in which case S&C can't waive it. It's not their privilege. It's the client's privilege. If he's the attorney, he's asking his fellow attorneys to waive a privilege that doesn't belong to them either. What? I don't even understand the sentence. I'm confused.
I mean, he
What
could
hell's
ask
going
the
on?
attorneys to ask the client. That's a thing. But also,
Which at that
like-
point, the attorneys, being good attorneys, will have to ask themselves whether or not that's in the client's interests.
and also
To go to the
this
client
re-
and be like, we want you to waive the privilege. Can you do that for us? And if they're like, nah, then that's, okay,
Yeah.
I don't understand what's
and
happening in
also,
this sentence.
like, if privilege applies to this relationship, then putting that there is a privilege that has not been waived into this document that you is also itself a problem.
You are now, this is a good point, Ian. This is solid. You were indicating that you are breaking privilege by this. Okay, that's great. This goes further to enhance your credibility.
Yep.
In addition to the compliance officer, your compliance on the ethics is not looking great either right about now.
Yep.
Okay, that's all right. I'll live.
So this kind of concludes the FTX stuff. I don't want to go through all of this stuff. A lot of this is misstatements of law regarding former work. So of course, S&C did past work. S&C was paid for that past work that they did. They also partitioned off all of those that represented FTX. They threw up that Chinese firewall. Like, you are not touching this case. You are off of this case, and you have no access to the server that has any of the information on this case. So they threw up that firewall, and then they hired outside conflict counsel, Paul Hastings. The entire firm of Paul Hastings is conflict counsel. So
Nice.
I think that they're doing just fine.
Yep.
So, all right.
It's the partners
That's-
at PNC with the not waiving the ethics. They're the bad ones, Your Honor.
It
Your
was
credibility
just-
is a little thin right now.
Everything about this was so stupid. It was
What is
so
this? The
dumb.
firm? The entire
Kind
firm
of.
gone on the corruption?
All right. So because Mike's here, let me do a swoop and then we'll talk about Baldwin.
Yay.
Alec Baldwin. Yes.
Yeah. I have opinions about Baldwin.
So Ian, why don't you give us a summary of what happened with Baldwin this week? Because I know that you have so many opinions about this.
So Baldwin has finally been charged in what was a major surprise. Well, they've announced that they're charging him. They haven't actually charged yet, but they've announced that they will do so. And so they've said that they're going to charge him with involuntary manslaughter, which seems fairly obvious. Now, the wonderful thing about this one is that those charges were made possible through the tireless efforts of an unsung hero in this matter, which is Alec Baldwin himself. Because absent Alec Baldwin's tireless work on this file, there is no way that they could have gotten to laying charges on him. But he just insisted on making sure that the public and the prosecutors knew that he is a screw up and deserves to be going to jail for this one. Because, oh my God, can he not shut up at all? He is apparently represented by counsel who has never dealt with a criminal file in their life, so far as I can tell. I might be wrong about that, but they don't seem to note criminal defense as what they do. And that lawyer is making statements on his behalf as recently as like yesterday. So, what the actual fuck, pardon, we're still at just an hour, so I guess I'll have to throw money in the swear jar, but yeah, it's baffling. And everybody on Twitter wants to defend this guy as like, hey, listen, he's such an idiot. So, he doesn't need to know. He's just got like a guy there who puts a helmet on him so that he doesn't, hurt himself every time he falls. Like, no, that is not the standard for I am handling a gun. Like, if you are too stupid to know what you're doing to a minimal degree of safety, you don't take the gun. And you certainly don't take the gun from random dude like the assistant director who is not the armorer when the armorer is not around, because hey, like everybody's like, it's the armorer's job to keep you safe. It's like, so where is the armorer? And if you don't see the armorer there, then maybe you don't play with the guns when the armorer is not there. Like,
So
not freaking hard.
pulling up some timely super chats. If Baldwin goes to trial, will you cover it?
I really want to go down there just to see
I will-
it. I mean, I don't know
will
if they'll
fly to
televise
be in
it.
that
or-
courtroom.
Where would he be charged? Like
New
what county?
Mexico.
New Mexico.
Oh,
Santa
New
Fe.
Mexico?
yeah.
Beautiful town. Great artwork, great food. Santa Fe, New Mexico, fantastic.
It's just a
I think
state
it's-
away, no problem.
In New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. It's just
Mike,
like,
you
New
live in
Mexico now.
Mexico. I'm
There's a New
familiar with
Mexico
the
now
country.
since like the
Lovely
early
place.
20th century.
But I'm like, none of us know anything about the law there.
True.
The
but I have the
wonderful thing
statute
about-
pulled up.
The wonderful thing about the courtroom is that Baldwin won't
just-
be allowed to have a gun.
I could get reciprocity
Because-
over there. I could become a lawyer over there. Maybe I'll represent him.
Ian, did you say Baldwin won't be able to have a gun in there? Oh
You
my
won't be
God.
able to have a gun in there because I wouldn't want to be in the same room as Baldwin and a gun.
Yep. I'm going to do these two. Thank you. So thank you for Left Turn at Albuquerque. Yeah, I think we're all going to be covering that one. Bop it. Thank you for the donation to Swear Jar, because we'll be swearing too. We're going to get there. Misty.
I'm in. I'm in for contributing to a house. We'll get a house, like the four of us or whatever. We'll cover it there. It'll be great.
What could go wrong?
The influencer house. You know what? It'll be all this all the time. It'll just be nonstop goat noise.
My dog stepped on a fish. Thank you very much. My goat, Kevin, now greets my freshman algebra students to class. He also wakes up the sleepyheads. It's great. That is awesome. If you're a teacher and you put it next to like a sleeping kid when they're in class, the screaming goat. Yep. Yep. Fantastic. Brentwood Chic, thank you very much. Screaming goat is the LawTube secret handshake. Kurt, you need one.
I got a button on my thing.
Oh my gosh.
I've got my
I got
screen
a
button,
button on
my
the
thing.
soundboard.
I'm old school. I've just got the organic plastic screaming goat.
All natural, organic plastic goat.
I've got chorus and screaming goats. Ready?
Oh.
I'll see your
Can you do
chorus of
harmony?
screaming goats.
Can you do harmony of screaming goats? That's
No,
okay.
but I will tell you. So 5 of these got sent to me, and 4 of them have made their ways to my nieces and nephews' houses. And I leave them surreptitiously where the kids can find them, and I teach the kids how to use them. So, no, what was that? That needs to never happen again.
That was the voice changer plus the goat.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible. That was Silence of the Goats.
Okay, so wait, we're talking about New Mexico though.
Yeah.
What county?
So let's do this. Here, let's do this. Here,
Santa
better way
Fe,
of
I
doing
think.
this. Hang on. Better way of doing this is: did you see the prosecutor giving their statement about the charges they brought? No.
I saw this statement noting like doesn't matter who you are, you will be everybody.
Did you see the interview? Because I think you're going to be disappointed when you hear what she
I didn't
said.
see the interview.
So let's take a
should've.
look at that. Let's take a look.
Prepare to be disappointed.
Prepare to be disappointed.
Santa Fe.
I'm
He's with
always
Santa Fe's
disappointed.
district attorney, and this is her
That's my secret
first
power.
TV interview since the charging decision. Josh?
Yeah, thanks.
What's
I'm here
with
with
this
the district
setup?
attorney. Madam District Attorney, thank
CNN, this is fair use. We are commenting quite literally on the application of New Mexico law, the district attorney decision to press charges. This is a significant news event that several people are interested in. You have 4 lawyers on the screen that are breaking down and providing educational content to those that
And
are
also,
happy
just to
watch
comment
it.
and critique about the thing itself, who blocked this? Because this is a shitty setup.
Yeah, it's pretty
Also,
terrible.
educational comment number 1: that wire goes inside your jacket, and you should be facing the camera so that we don't see this.
Yeah.
What is this, like day 1 journalism school?
Also,
Like
pound
you
sand
do-
CNN.
All right. Are the comments, do we feel better now? Do we all feel better now?
No, I'm still angry.
You did make a fine point.
Each of them
All right.
should have a punishment shot of Malort, says the chat.
They should. They all
Have
should.
me on me.
All right, here we go.
Thank you for speaking with us. I just want to start. How did you come to
Why
this
are you facing away
prosecuted
from the
decision?
camera? Like, this is the best setup
along
you
with
could
my
do?
special prosecutor, we got the report from the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. We initiated an extensive review of that, and I will say that it was a well investigated case. But we had some follow up that we had to speak with some experts, and once we read through everything and researched the case law and the law here in New Mexico, we realized
They
that
watched
we
a lot of
believe that
old
there was
Alec
probable
Baldwin
cause
movies.
to charge Alec Baldwin and Halyna Gutierrez-Reed with involuntary manslaughter.
And what were some of the key pieces of evidence that you used that factored into that decision?
Well, that there was such a lack of safety and safety standards on that set, that there were live rounds on set. They were mixed in with regular dummy rounds. Nobody was checking those, or at least they weren't checking them consistently. And then they somehow got loaded into a gun, handed off to Alec Baldwin. He didn't check.
So that's speaking to Baldwin as the producer.
Wow.
Like that comment is kind of Baldwin's the producer responsible for this.
I don't
Now,
think
one
you
thing-
need him to be a producer to get him on this one.
Here's what I hate about the very beginning of the statement. You realize that she sits there and says, "We realize we had probable cause to make the charges." Why are you coming in that soft?
Oh, I know. She's scared out of her mind.
She is.
Yeah.
She's
I
terrified.
won't go deep into it, but it's politics and it's scary, and you're stepping on toes. The end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll
it
just keep it that
gets
simple.
worse.
I won't
He
fault her for
didn't
that.
do any of the things that he was supposed to do to make sure that he was safe or that anyone around him was safe. And then he pointed the gun
Correct.
at Halyna Hutchins and he pulled the trigger.
You talk about the safety
Right.
on the set. Was, as part of your investigation, was there one thing that was done or one thing that was said that sealed it for you that this should be prosecuted?
No, actually, I think it
interview.
was the totality of the circumstances, that this was a really
answer.
fast and loose set.
Dead body.
And that nobody was doing their job. There were 3 people that if they had done their job that day, this tragedy wouldn't have happened. And that's David Halls, Halyna Gutierrez-Reed, and Alec Baldwin. If they had just done their basic duties, we wouldn't be standing here.
Can you help our viewers understand? So the state officials did a report. It was signed.
Don't you love that picture they pick of Gutierrez-Reed?
I do love it, though.
I mean-
it is a good picture.
That is like a picture she posted online. You got to remember, if you're ever charged, they're going to go through your Facebook and everything else to find the ugliest picture of you.
The worst.
So it's not going to be the picture of you on like graduation day in your suit and tie and whatever else. It's going to be the picture of you with like, you're on your 4th cocktail drinking out of a mason jar going, ah, that's going to be the picture but here, I mean, of course they're going to put the picture of her with the guns. And I mean, those look like they would be the same gun used to kill Hutchins, which
Those
is
look
a
like
real
both.
bad look.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm betting that's the exact same reproduction.
Looks similar.
Yeah, the optics aren't good.
I mean,
when
I
you're
would
holding
go.
2 of the murder weapons in your hands for the photo, that's not good.
I've got
I wonder if she's single. I can
2
fix her.
To be
I
fair,
got
at least she
two
doesn't have her
pencil.
finger on the trigger.
Yeah, no,
That's
that
fair.
I'll give her. I've
this
got 2 of the
one, yeah.
same gun in my safe right now. I'd go get them, except live stream rules, and we don't
No.
want to get Rob banned.
Right.
Don't do that.
But they look very, it's not the greatest picture, but I think they're the same thing. So, yeah, I see people in the chat, at least she's holding it correctly. Yeah, her finger is off the trigger. That is the correct place to be.
Yep.
Um,
So let's listen on.
by the chief medical investigator saying that there was no compelling evidence that this was intentional, right?
Right.
So help our viewers understand, if it's an accident, which most people seem to think it is, why is that a
lots
crime?
of accidents are criminal.
Because just because it's an accident doesn't mean that it's not criminal. Our involuntary manslaughter statute covers unintentional killings, unintentional homicides. The rest of our homicide statutes cover intentional, but unintentional means they didn't mean to do it. They didn't have the intent to kill. But it happened anyway, and it happened because of more than mere negligence, because of they didn't exercise due caution or circumspection, and that's what happened here.
And what's your response to, there might be people in Baldwin's camp who say that you were overcharging this?
No,
Well,
it's
we
looks about
disagree,
right.
and we're going
No.
to be taking that in front of a judge and allowing the judge to decide on probable cause. But we think that there is enough there, more than enough there, to
You've got probable
move
cause.
forward on these charges and possibly to get through the preliminary hearing stage and on to trial.
And can you just
That's the part. That's the part that pissed me off. Possibly get through the PX.
I mean,
Yeah,
she's being
that
cagey.
is-
She's being a little
that's-
cagey. I mean, it's like, doesn't bother me. That much.
I would just say, hey, we're confident that the justice system will handle this appropriately. We believe that we have met the standard for charging. We are proceeding with charges because that's what we would do to anyone else. So, like, she's giving a little too much on weighing the standard here. And in a trial that's going to be super public, you want to not sound like you're sitting there super,
Hesitant.
super unclear.
Like, why did you bring it? Like, super unclear.
I
Like,
mean-
we're going to make it to PX. We think we can make it to PX.
I mean, I think that they've got about a 40% shot here. I think
you're
that's
about
worth
right.
running. I think it's worth running on that 40% shot. But you don't want to tell everyone, I think we're at 40% before, like, this is going to be a jury trial, folks. The jurors right now are watching you.
Yeah.
And I see people saying she's probably not used to being on camera. I get that take. I get that she's probably not. Find someone else, or just say, we're not giving interviews. This is a highly publicized trial that will be going to juror. Find somebody who's been in front of a camera before. Get somebody with a YouTube channel. Do it.
Yeah.
I'll fly
Mike will
down.
do it.
I'll fly down. You can
Get him in
hire
his
me as an
bathrobe out
ADA.
here.
You can hire me as an
If
ADA.
you ever
for,
become
like,
elected DA, you have to wear the bathrobe during all interviews. That's gotta happen.
I will do it with my shirt unzipped, just like
that's
this.
what I was going to say. Let Mike
that's
show
gonna
up
be.
with his shirt unzipped and explain why he's charging unintentional manslaughter or involuntary. manslaughter.
Hire me as an ADA for 15 minutes. I'll get out there, I'll do the interview, and I'll leave. And it's like, by the way, you're fired because we determined you can't actually lawyer here in New Mexico. And I'll be like, cool. Send my check to me. So
She's worried about two things, and I think appropriately and intelligently. There's huge political ramifications. He's a huge darling of the left.
Yep.
And then there's lots of money involved. So she's going to be outgunned and politically attacked hardcore. And the fact that she's afraid of that, to me, doesn't show weakness. It just shows intelligence. That's what she's up against. She's thinking, I've got a crappy prosecutor job. I'm making no money, and I'm about to get hammered. I just got thrown in.
Don't give the interview.
That's where I go back. Then I'm with Ian. Don't give the interview. Release the statement. Put it out there.
Yeah.
And either find some PR person who's good enough to go out and explain it. Because they hired a special prosecutor. I imagine that special prosecutor is more than capable of giving that statement.
I mean, I you know what? I'm viewing this through the lens. I don't know if you guys saw this. The only other case I'm familiar with at all out of New Mexico is the Cummings case. It was this extreme skier, and they prosecuted him. Different county. I'm sure this is a much more sophisticated, larger county, and everything else. They didn't have any budget.
I know.
Yeah.
They weren't like horrible people, but you could just see they were just outclassed. They just couldn't do anything. Like the prosecution was horrible. They're not used to actually having to prosecute because nobody has it's not even just the prosecutor's fault. Nobody has money to defend. This is out in like rural New Mexico. So these prosecutors never like went up against anybody before. It's clear to me.
There's money in Santa Fe though. There's money there.
Santa Fe's bigger. Santa Fe's bigger, so I think they'd be a little more sophisticated about it. But like they're going to be out-resourced by Alec Baldwin and the Hollywood machine all day long. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah.
And let's start with that. So I mentioned at the very beginning of the stream, this week was the PR week for every person that was an attorney, client, party, everyone was out doing PR statements. So adding to the mix, we've got Baldwin, who comes out via his attorney, Luke Nikos, who's the PR attorney, who releases this statement. So this is the statement that was released by Baldwin's attorney. This decision distorts Halyna Hutchins' tragic death and represents a terrible miscarriage of justice. Oh,
dude, you don't get to complain when your client shot and killed a woman.
Yep.
Like, to have a little bit of humility.
Yep.
And you just say something like, the circumstances here are tragic. Mr. Baldwin, more than anyone, regrets her death. There is no criminal. However, this is not a criminal matter. There is no criminal liability. We are certain that he will be cleared.
we intend to defend the criminal charges.
We don't have a criminal attorney on tonight, though. I'm saying you're not getting a conviction in this case. You're not getting a conviction. I don't know if they got 6 or 12, but you're going to get one leftist that will not convict this guy. There's no two ways about it in the state of New Mexico. There's no two ways about it. So,
I get your point. But I'm going to make. I know your point about the reality stuff. I'm going to make every point I can to try and argue why these charges should have been brought, why they are proper, and why I think that the attorney in New Mexico, at the very least, should have come out guns blazing. Hate the use of the word, but actually come out on the attack.
But just know you're going to lose first. But that doesn't matter. Go forward as if you're not.
I do see that there is a path to conviction, and that path to conviction is largely Baldwin himself.
That's true.
Because the thing is Baldwin is not a darling of the left. Baldwin is left and whatever else. But if you ask people like on the left to do like a forced choice, the old trolley game thing, with Baldwin versus anybody else, a lot of the time that trolley would be hitting Baldwin. And he's not like a famous, everybody likes him figure. And the thing is, he's really not going to play well. He doesn't come off as sympathetic. He doesn't come off. What he comes off as is careless and arrogant and a complete jackass.
Every statement he makes, from fanning the gun to "I know all about these weapons," to try and explain how Colts work to detectives.
So
I knew Samuel Colt himself. We weren't together on the original patent for the original Colt.
I
was on the infinite design of the patent. Go look it up.
Aren't sitting there going, "Hey, this guy's with me." What they're saying is, "Hey, this guy should have known better when he's playing with a gun." They're going to have a lot more sympathy for Hutchins than they will for Baldwin.
Not to mention,
I don't think he walks on political things. I think more likely than not, he walks on it's the other people's fault.
I think he's right. I think he can win on the merits. I think the
dual purpose charge is what I go back to. I think he might walk personally, but he might go down on the producer.
Yeah. Is there my whole point is there any halfway charge? Can you get? Is there anything to offer as a plea deal?
Sure, because
that's what David Hall pled to.
Yeah,
I'm sure they offered him a plea deal. Baldwin's not
negligent handling and underlying negligence. So
he should get a small conviction, and he should take it because he could get rung up. He probably won't,
but he won't. He won't because he's Baldwin. This is the kind of client that you can say, "Listen." Even if the odds were 80% that he was going to get convicted on this, and again, I think that that's not where he's sitting. I don't think he'd plead for two reasons. One, he's going to
talk his ass into a jail cell.
He's done in the industry, and two,
he's done it anyway.
He is unwilling to accept the notion that he has any responsibility in this. You can see in his statements that this is personal for him. It's not just pragmatic. It's that he cannot accept on a deep physical level that he fucked up here.
Well, look at the very beginning of the statement he releases. That was when this statement gets released. Chanley put it out, and I tweeted in response. I basically said it's better to remain silent and have people think you're a fool than to speak and remove all doubt.
Truth.
If he hadn't given statements, I think he'd walk.
Yeah,
if he hadn't, you take out all of his police interview and all of his interviews with the press afterwards, I'd be saying that they shouldn't have brought these charges. I'd be saying that his odds
in honor of Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer, you got to stop self-stitching.
Yeah, his odds would be sitting at around 5% on conviction on that, and that would be purely just jury doesn't like you.
Okay, now I'm into
because
this.
Somebody's dead. But his statements.
But I think it's going to plead.
He should. If he has half a brain, if he has half a brain, he will. Now, Alec Baldwin doesn't have half a brain. He's not going to plead. He's going to think that he can talk to a jury and talk them out of convicting him. And by sitting in that chair and giving testimony, he's going to talk himself into a jail cell.
Yeah. The prosecution's strongest witness is when and if Baldwin gets up on the stand.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere on the movie set. Stop calling it a bullet.
It's a cartridge.
Use proper nomenclature if you're releasing a freaking press statement. He relied on the professionals with whom he worked who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. We will fight these charges and we will win. This is so disconnected from reality, this statement.
Yeah,
Mike, Mike, you look surprised / frozen.
I'm going to call it right here for the world to know. This ends with the plea bargain and some BS smaller charge. That's what happens. And you know why? Because I want to see the trial, and I know it's not going to happen. I was just thinking, like, that would be a really fun trial. I want to see him try to go up there. And it's not going to happen for me. I don't know what, because I don't do it anymore.
So to be clear, your bet is based on the universe is out to get Law Talk with Mike specifically.
Yeah.
And this would be fun. You know what? I can get behind that. I don't think Baldwin will plead because he's Baldwin, but I will bet you 2 goat screams that,
two goat screams. We're going to 2 goat screams. There we go. Well, so Baldwin wasn't the only one to release a statement. Here we go. SAG.
This makes me so.
Okay, yeah, what did SAG say? Bring to me the SAG.
Here we go. And by the way, when I read this, I could not. This is going to age me in the chat. Do you guys remember Team America, World Police?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin. Yeah, I couldn't. I was reading this. And I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about that. But SAG comes out with a statement. And by the way, SAG, I'm going to have so many thoughts on this statement. SAG released the following statement on today's news regarding charges in the Rust tragedy. The death of Halyna Hutchins is a tragedy, and all the more so because it was of its preventable nature. It is not a failure of duty or a criminal act on the part of any performer. You don't actually
an interesting conclusion. How you reach that conclusion, SAG?
Now, keep in mind, SAG is Screen Actors Guild, so this is a little bit like asking the police union. What they think
we got 4 attorneys here, right? Whenever you're issuing an opinion, don't you check with SAG first? Because I do.
I always do. I mean, they're my verifiable source for all things legal.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
The prosecutor's contention. This is my favorite. The prosecutor's contention that an actor has a duty to ensure the functional and mechanical operation of a firearm in a production set is wrong and uninformed.
But nobody asked about functional and mechanical operation. They asked for a basic thing like confirm with the armorer that it's actually a cold gun. Or maybe don't accept a firearm when the armorer is who the hell knows where.
Ian,
Christina, you have won 2 goat screams.
Just one? Okay, good. All right. An actor's job is not to be a firearms or weapons expert. We're not asking you to be. Firearms are provided for minimal competence under the guidance of multiple expert professionals directly responsible for the safe and accurate operation of that firearm. In addition, the employer is always responsible for providing a safe work environment at all times. You mean like Alec Baldwin, who was the producer and kind of in charge of the set, including hiring and supervising the work of professionals training the weapons? You mean like,
and they did that, Baldwin, and then they proceeded with those
Gutierrez-Reed.
Well, and then proceeded when Gutierrez-Reed was nowhere around. Like, hey, okay, cool. Like, this is nuts.
Yep. So the industry standards for safety and firearms and use of blank ammunition are clearly laid out in the safety bulletin. Oh, I'm going to go to your safety bulletins, number 1.
But it also wasn't blank ammo.
It wasn't.
This was a dummy/live ammo. So, yep.
The guidelines require an experienced, qualified armorer to be put in charge of all handling, use, and safekeeping of firearms on set. I'm going to blow this up with the second page of your damn guidelines, you idiots. These duties include inspecting the firearm and barrel before and after every firing sequence and checking all firearms before each use. Okay.
And at this point, this is like great for the prosecution.
What did you got on this? And by the way, I'd like to note that there's no actual legal analysis or citation in a case.
No, none of this. This is just
it's just conclusory. Oh, there's no duty. Okay. That's interesting. How'd you reach that conclusion?
If we accept their conclusions as correct legally, this convicts Baldwin because we're saying that there has to be an experienced, qualified armorer on, inspecting this before and after every firing sequence. Baldwin accepts the gun from not the armorer. That is the time when you're like, hey, So let's say I'm on a movie, like somebody has cast Runkle as, I don't know, guy who tries to shoot John Wick
Can
and
I
then gets his head ripped off.
file a complaint against SAG for the unauthorized practice of law because they're making legal conclusions that
they're trying to make legal arguments. And the thing is,
I mean,
I'm sorry,
you're not allowed to.
Where's SAG Incorporated? California?
Yeah.
The thing is, you know,
probably.
This is like if I'm on a movie set and the craft services guy who's running the food table hands me a Glock and says, go to, you know, this is what we're using in this scene. I'm like, hey, craft services guy, what the fuck? I'm not going in, like, I'm not like, yes, where is the armor? Why am I not getting this gun from the armorer? You know, even if we're saying, oh, the AD can hand it to him. If the armorer's not there, nobody should be handling a gun, and Baldwin knows.
What do your protocols say about that?
Oh, wait,
so
we're gonna get there.
The Screen Actors Guild says that Baldwin is behaving negligently by playing with the guns in the absence of the armorer. They're trying to convict him here, and they don't even know it.
We're going to get there. So the guidelines do not make it the performer's responsibility to check any firearm performers trained to perform, and they are not required.
Oh, when it's the guidelines that control the law. Oh,
yeah.
SAG guidelines are the reason. Oh, I see.
SAG actually gets to, you know, define what the laws are here. You might have thought that it was.
I'm going to start writing up some lawsuit guidelines
and
right
elected
about now.
Officials that get to decide what the standards are, but it's actually the Screen Actors Guild. They're a, yeah.
Oh God, hang on. I saw one that was really good. I have to pull this up. Where was it? Runkle asked for food. This is a Glock.
I didn't even see that coming.
Honk banana, no. I ordered the food. This is a Colt. You guys, that is terrible. But also, oh, this is a good point. Melissa Vance said, whoever killed Brandon Lee get prosecuted. Just wondering, as it happened on set as well. Back then, you never heard anything more than it was an accident, as far as I know. You are correct. No one was charged in that fatality. But you know what happens? That informs all other productions going forward that this is a possible situation that could occur if you don't engage in these safety protocols. So every actor who had any implicit knowledge of what happened to Brandon Lee knows that that's a possibility and is charged with the duty of avoiding that possibility in the future.
The thing is that the Brandon Lee situation was a freak accident. It's an unusual, you know, hard to spot scenario, because that is the bullet, which is the actual projectile, wiggles loose and ends up in the actual barrel. Yeah. That's a lot harder to spot. This, I quite literally have a video, and I've been talking about this all day, but I brought a person who had never fired a gun before in their life to the range, blindfolded them, and they were able to pick out dummies from live cartridges. I had a big mixed pile of dummies and live cartridges and was like handing them one, and they'd shake it, and we loaded 6 and successfully didn't shoot our camera person, which was the paper on the range, because this is not hard. A person with no training and like a 2-minute explanation blindfolded can do this. Baldwin just didn't give a single solitary shit about the life of anybody around him.
Well, let's get through this statement and we'll pull up their guidelines. So the industry assigns that responsibility to qualified professionals who oversee their use and handling in every aspect. I'm glad the industry makes that assignment, because you know what doesn't make that assignment? The law.
Yeah. The law says anytime you handle a firearm, you have responsibilities.
Correct. Anyone issued a firearm on set must be given training and guidance in its safe handling and use, but all activity with firearms on a set must be under the careful supervision and control of a professional armor and the employer. Again,
you convicts him.
Are idiots. You are idiots. Like you are handling firearms. If you don't know how to use the firearm, if you don't know how to check the firearm, if you're not checking the firearm, don't use the firearm.
This standard quite literally says that Baldwin should be convicted if this was accepted as the legal standard, because this says that they should be under the careful supervision.
Require experienced qualified armor to be in charge of handling. So yeah.
So if he's
whose responsibility is that?
Them, now it's his responsibility.
Well, and let's go through their guidelines, because this part was fun. So SAG, you made a big comment about all the guidelines that were really important, and the guidelines set the standard for everybody, right? SAG guidelines, safety
I feel
bulletins.
like we've horrified Mike and gotten him to flee.
No, I think Mike's just having a cocktail and enjoying the commentary.
Aww.
SAG guidelines. So this is 2009 adopted. It has remained unchanged. It was recently reaffirmed in 2017. I did check that on their website today. So, introduction. This publication contains safety bulletins, which were researched, written, and distributed by the industry-wide Labor Management Safety Committee for use by motion picture and television industry. Interesting. Safety bulletins, guidelines.
Hit that second to last paragraph.
All industry personnel have a legal and moral responsibility for the safety on set wherever they may be working. These safety bulletins may be reproduced and attached to call sheets and otherwise distributed to affected employees.
All personnel. That sounds like the actor has a legal and moral responsibility. Cool.
Page number 4.
Let's
Big,
look at that
bold
first one.
bullet point. As an actor, you are ultimately responsible. Ultimately, meaning the penultimate, meaning the final responsibility falls at your feet. For your own safety and the safety of your fellow cast members, production management and crew are responsible for creating and maintaining safe condition. But it is your right and responsibility to double check the setup to ensure your own safety.
Yeah.
Yep.
First
And
freaking point.
Zealospoo, I just looking at the chat here saying the only thing I will say against Runkle's argument is that would that person be able to tell an already loaded weapon was full of blanks without taking them out? You still should have checked though. The thing is that if it's already loaded, they should be unloading it and reloading it in front of the actor.
Did you hear
handing around loaded firearms? They should be.
Did you hear what the practice was on the set with the revolvers? So apparently with the revolvers in all prior shoots or all prior scenes, after the firearm was handed, the actor would point the firearm at the ground. Now, granted, not really the safest method, but also would essentially cycle the cartridge. This was not the practice.
This was Jensen Ackles saying that this is something he does over and above.
Okay.
Either way, this is not the practice. The practice should be that as the actor is getting handed the firearm from the armorer demonstrates and shows to the actor and gets the actor to like thumbs up that they're good, that it is okay. And that means either they're being handed something that is completely unloaded and it's been demonstrated as such, or they're showing that it is clearly loaded with, dummies or blanks or whatever the scene calls for. If you're talking about like a semi-automatic with a magazine, they should be putting each dummy into the magazine after getting the actor, like, see, dummy, shake, rattle, 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 in it goes. Rattle, 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 in it goes. Rattle, rattle, rattle. But for a revolver, it's just, rattle, in. Rattles, yes, in. The other thing is that these dummies don't typically have a primer in them, which means that you can tell the difference just by looking at the back of the dummy. And so quite literally, the amount of time that this would have taken...
Most often.
Well, there's often a hole drilled in the side. There should be a metal BB inside the case so that it rattles. And there shouldn't be primer. So there's going to be, instead of, the sort of usual appearance to the back where you've got that sort of center flat bit, there's going to be just an empty hole. And so quite literally, you can check this with the guns they were using by opening the loading gate and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's as long as it takes.
All right.
It is literally like a brief period. And yeah, it is not hard. It's not difficult. It is 0%, yeah.
So you know what's interesting about this one? Because the next thing you do is you just do a Control F firearms and other weapons. Oh, look at that.
Treat all weapons as though they are loaded and or ready to use. That's pretty good gun safety rule. That is one of the standard gun safety rules. Do not play with weapons and never point one at anyone, including yourself. Never. All. Interesting.
And you remember how they said that the person who was using it didn't have to know or be an expert in the operations? Follow the directions of the property master and or weapons handler regarding all weapons. Next paragraph. The use of firearms and other weapons may require special permits and or operator certifications. Anyone that will be using a weapon shall know all the operating features and safety devices. Really?
Yep.
Tag?
Yeah.
So-
I mean, this is minimal. The analogy I've been using is basically this is like saying, listen, he was told to drive the car, so it doesn't matter that he never actually has gotten his driver's license and doesn't know how to operate a motor vehicle.
Also,
You know,
I
it's
like the
that
little
doesn't
note there
free
in
you
the
of liability.
I like the little note there in the footer. It says this code of safe practice is recommended. Consult all applicable rules and regulations. Like, for example, the ones
The
of the
law.
state of New Mexico.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
Yep. Anyone,
it's-
and then, okay, we're going to reiterate the last point because it wasn't clear enough in the paragraph before that said you shall know all the operating features and safety devices. Anyone handling a weapon shall receive the proper training and know all operating features and safety devices. So if you're touching that weapon, you know everything about it. You're required to under this guideline.
Yep. I mean, it's just ridiculous here.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't look good for him.
I mean, SAG, thank you for pointing us to the actual definition of negligence. Like by releasing your statement, you've essentially pointed me to these guidelines, which demonstrates pretty clearly that this conduct was negligent.
I mean, this is the thing, is that Baldwin gets up on the stand and they're going to be saying, hey, listen, we are going to go over, like, we're going to go over what SAG's guidelines are. Did you follow this? No. Did you follow that? No. Was the armor on set? No. Okay. So isn't that negligent? Yeah, it kind of ticks me off because I got so many people saying, oh, he's got no, he's got no responsibility. And I'm like, he has so much responsibility.
Yeah.
Industry-wide Labor Management Safety Committee, Safety Bulletin number 1. Recommendations for safety with firearms and use of blank ammunition. Now, granted, I know that you're clarifying these were not blanks. I'm not using that to say that this is what this was. I'm using that as an example because blanks are different than this, but here, even this bulletin. Blanks can kill. Treat all firearms as though they are loaded. Live ammunition is never to be used or brought onto any studio, lot, or stage. Treat all firearms as though they are loaded. Gee, isn't that the first rule of all firearms?
Yep.
I'm interested, like, how many times do you think this has happened? I've never hear about this.
It almost never happens. This is the thing, is that
I've lived almost forever, and I don't have a lot of. Something happened on, what was it, the Crow or something? But I don't even know if it was a firearm discharge.
That's the Brandon Lee thing, and that one was that the actual bullet on one cartridge wiggled out and ended up in the barrel.
Okay, so
then when they put a blank in, it pushed it through and fired.
Okay, so those are the two times I've heard about it ever.
And there's one more, which was a guy who had a firearm that was loaded with blanks. And this is why they take the guns away from the actors in between shots. He had a gun that was loaded with blanks, and he thought it was funny to point it at his head and fire. And what he didn't realize that blanks are fully capable of killing you at short ranges. So,
God, that's
so he put a hole in his head and died.
So this is a good one. Crazy Cat Green, I'm pulling this up out of order. How do actors know the safety rules? Are they supposed to search out the safety regs, or is that the job of the firearms expert? Both, because the guidelines say that they shall be posted in the casting. So the casting, if the casting involves essentially firearms, these guidelines are supposed to be included, and the guidelines are posted on site so you can see them. And the armorer is supposed to give specific training throughout the course of the filming of this. So there are multiple guidelines that call for how this is supposed to be handled.
There were also supposed to be daily safety briefings.
Correct. It did not happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what he's relying on here. This whole Paragraph 8, only a qualified person shall perform hand loading or altering factory loaded blank ammunition to work on firearms. Check with local, state, and federal regulations to see if the specific license is required. This does not absolve you of your responsibility to treat every single firearm as if it's loaded.
Also, this doesn't mean what people think it means.
Correct.
Because hand loading means actually assembling the cartridge, not loading the magazine.
It's creating the load behind the bullet.
Yeah.
Correct? The powder, the powder.
I don't honestly
the
know
weight.
that's the sense in which they mean it or not. I honestly God, I'm reading that sense, and I'm not sure in which sense they mean it.
When they say hand loading or altering of ammunition, they're talking about creating film dummies. That's what they're talking about.
I know that's what it's supposed to mean.
But you can see how someone could read it differently.
Yeah, it's just that's what hand loading means in the sort of firearm expertise context. Like that's
but the thing that I'm thinking about is also partly like this is not meant to be read by someone who's knowledgeable in firearms, right? This is meant to be read by a Screen Actor Guild. So like, what would it mean to them?
The thing is, honestly with this one, Kurt, I don't really care because the very first bullet point in all caps, every gun is treated as loaded.
I object to the way this sentence is phrased. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. I have no problem with that. So, yes, the property master has these responsibilities, but you know what that doesn't do? That doesn't absolve you of your responsibility to realize that you have rules that you have to follow when you are handed something that can cause a fatality.
Yeah. And
okay, now the other thing in this case.
Yeah, right. It's fascinating, isn't it?
I still think it'll end on a plea, but it would be an interesting trial.
The Screen Actors Guild is also not able to create legal standards. Can. I mean, this might be considered in the criteria of what's negligent, but they're not lawmakers. Yeah, I know. I'm just coming out with these weird zany theories.
They're right above the Supreme Court in our constitutional system, Ian. I don't think you understand being Canadian.
Oh, we trust
yeah, no, that's fair.
For everything, apparently.
I missed that part in I missed that part in that whole comic with the bill on the states.
Just a bill, only a bill. Wait for the Screen Actors Guild. Yeah.
Wait for the Screen Actors Guild. I like that one. So this is the statute under which he's charged. Manslaughter is the unlawful killing of a human without malice, which means without intention or without malice. Voluntary manslaughter consists of manslaughter committed upon a sudden quarrel or in the heat of passion. Whenever you do this, third-degree felony resulting in death of a human being. Involuntary manslaughter. This is what the charges are being brought as. Involuntary manslaughter under New Mexico Code says consists of manslaughter committed in the commission of an unlawful act, not amounting to felony, or, and this is the applicable part here, in the commission of a lawful act, which might produce death in an unlawful manner or without due caution and circumspection.
Yeah. I think he might be able to win on that he had due caution and circumspection. His argument's going to be that I go on movies. Yeah. It's basically in short, I go on movie sets all the time. We have these professionals in place. I rely on them. I'm trained to rely on them, and they do their job. I was told it was a safe gun, and so everything I did was in accordance with the norms that pervade my industry. So that's where it's coming down to for me.
But what's funny is
I would be running if I was Baldwin's team.
Well, and I had someone that say that when they review these criminal cases, they start with the jury instructions. So these are the jury instructions for involuntary manslaughter, because this is what the jury is going to be told. And we can fill in the blanks and basically say that after the end of the evidence, the jury is going to be told this, and they're going to have this form given to them. For you to find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter is charged in count 1. The state must prove to your satisfaction beyond a reasonable doubt each of the following elements. 1, Alec Baldwin. 2, did point a firearm and discharge said firearm at or in the direction of Halyna Hutchins, resulting in her death. And that Alec Baldwin should have known of the danger involved by pointing a firearm that he believed to be not loaded, but was in fact loaded at Halyna Hutchins, and discharging said firearm, rather pulling the trigger, while pointing said firearm at this person. That the act was with a willful disregard for the safety of others, and the act caused the death of Halyna Hutchins. So this is the jury instructions. So at the conclusion of the evidence, this is what the jury will be charged with. Now they're going to probably make comments
Willful
on it.
disregard is enough.
It's the willful disregard.
Willful disregard is enough for somebody who likes him to justify and say, I don't think it was willful disregard. It was.
Unless
as
he
a matter
gets
of
up
law.
there and testify.
And the place where you get willful
Doesn't seem
is
right.
with his statements that he made, saying like, I intentionally don't check the guns because, that, and I intentionally don't ask them to check the guns because that might be insulting to them. That is a real helpful statement for the prosecution.
Are you sure that's the right jury instruction?
I'm looking for it because the willful disregard seems to be a heightened standard than what the statute would suggest.
It is.
Yeah, that seems wrong.
It does seem incorrect from what I've seen as to the. Because I was doing research on it, including some case law research on it, and the standard is not that high. They've convicted people on involuntary manslaughter.
If prove willful disregard, I think it's even harder.
One of the cases of a proper conviction for involuntary manslaughter was a guy who was driving with his car partially into an oncoming lane as he approached a hill. That was enough for involuntary manslaughter.
So this is the case right here. One of the comments: committed by a lawful act done in an unlawful manner or without due caution and circumspection requires showing of criminal negligence, e.e., conduct which is reckless, wanton, or willful. So I think they're going to argue
That
over
seems
that willful
odd.
disregard.
That's a high burden.
I don't. That's the same thing.
I am reading to you from the
I understand
2020
you're reading to me. and
jury instructions.
I think I disagree with the Mexico law.
Okay.
I think
I'm just
it's-
reading you the instructions.
I think the jury. I don't think those terms are synonymous. I think the jury charges is not keeping with the statute. I think that this is legal error.
I mean, the jury, when you look at the case law and what they've said is suitable, it doesn't seem as like recklessness is enough. They've said it's a criminal negligence standard. So
these are pattern jury instructions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
they
if you're
keep
prosecuting,
citing
you
the
go
criminal
in and you say, I
negligence.
don't like the pattern jury instruction, Judge. I think it's confusing with respect to this. I think we should amend it and see where you're
I
at.
think the parent jury instruction is bullshit.
Well, I think the willful
They are
disregard
sometimes.
doesn't really, it's not the proper explanation of this.
No. Without due care and circumspection and willful disregard do not strike me as synonymous. Am I the
So
only
willful
one?
disregard. Willful disregard is speaking to a known risk or a risk that you should know under the circumstances. So if you engage in conduct where the known risk of that conduct is something, that is acting in willful disregard of that risk. That's reckless behavior.
Yes, that is reckless.
And you should also look, my understanding, I haven't looked into it all this. I understand there's a separate additional provision for if a firearm is involved. That has a heightened standard of care. Because, guns are serious and there's an expectation that you're not going to screw around with them.
I wonder if I can find that.
That just strikes me as not quite. That strikes me as different.
Yeah.
Like
No,
without due cause and circumspection and willful disregard do not strike me as synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
And so the statute says without due care and circumspection, and then they talk about willful disregard. I'm like,
no, it sounds like it's up a notch. It definitely.
So here's the vehicular enhancements.
Yeah, I've heard that there's a thing for firearm. I wasn't able to track it down though, so I might be wrong. I do see that there's one that's withdrawn, so I don't know what that. Maybe that was repealed.
Vehicle. Provocation, lesser includeds. I wonder if I can do a quick search. See if it's actually located within this instruction.
for like willful disregard, he'd have to be consciously disregarding a known risk. And with him being told clear gun and all of his stuff, I mean, I'd have to drop his estimation of getting convicted down. I'd have to, with that, if that's the right standard, I have to say 20%.
Yeah, the
So
thing
wonder
is that when I actually look at the cases that talk about what the standard looks like, the standard is substantially below
There you go.
that.
Here's the negligent use of a deadly weapon.
Okay.
That's the lesser included of the This is what David Hall pled to.
That's where this case is going.
I think that's where this
Discharge
case
the
is going.
firearm into a building.
He's out of his mind if he doesn't
Or-
take this and a light sentence.
Carrying a firearm under the influence of alcohol, that's not. Or defendant
Endangered
engaged
the safety,
of another by handling or using a deadly weapon in a negligent manner. That works for me.
Yep. And I mean, it seems to me that a fairly sensible resolution is he pleads to that, gets the same deal as Hall got, which
Yeah.
is, a little light, but
You do this as what did Hull get for a sentence?
6 months probation, I think it was.
Yeah. You're not doing any jail time. You're doing or like a probation or deferred sentence or something like that, and you're out.
So
How are they
this is-
defining negligent in sub 4?
Yeah, Carolyn J. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is the lesser included charge for the involuntary manslaughter, the negligent use of a deadly weapon. This is what David Hall pled to.
You
That's
go
what's happening
to
here.
footnote 4, I guess it is, where they define negligent.
Yeah, hang on.
And sent Rob, check your
Criminal
Twitter.
negligence.
Somebody saying that they found the relevant statute here.
All right. I got to pop out of here, and you guys are making me learn stuff.
Hey, you know what
We
happens
can't
every
have
now and
that.
then?
We can't have that.
Every now and then. You know, I have to try, Mike. I'm going to keep trying to make you an actual attorney until like forever.
I'm gonna give you a party
I'm-
up.
I'm trying to find Malort, and Malort is super hard to find. Oh, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the statute that was sent to me was the exact one we pulled up.
Okay, yeah.
30
Yeah, and
30-2-3.
they even cite, even in the footnote to the jury instruction, they cite it. They said, we could go back and read it exactly, but paraphrasing it said, without due caution or circumspection, i.e., which means that is
Criminal negligence.
willful disregard. And I'm like, but those aren't the same thing.
I think I would argue those instructions. I think the instructions are misleading as phrased.
Especially
Because-
when you look at the examples of what they have convicted people. of.
Correct. Yeah.
Because the examples include, I mentioned the one of the person who was driving on the, somewhat on the wrong side of the road approaching the hill, right? So that their vehicle was partially into oncoming traffic as they approached the hill.
Is
That
criminal
doesn't seem
negligence the same
willful,
thing
that's
as
just
willful disregard?
lazy.
Is that what you're going to try to sell me on? Because that seems like what this is striving
No,
to.
I think that the willful disregard is one way of phrasing recklessness, criminal recklessness.
Yeah. So
But
is
it's
criminal
one way of
recklessness the same
phrasing
thing
it.
as criminal negligence?
It requires, well, yeah, because you can't criminal negligence. It's not simple negligence. It's actually a known risk or a risk that you should know,
Okay.
which brings you up into recklessness. Because criminal negligence, remember, you have to get above that mens rea. You have to actually have awareness or have awareness imputed to you based on the circumstances surrounding the event.
Yeah,
I
Ergo,
think
a firearm is
I-
placed in your hand.
the only the sort of thing that's going to swing the analysis is the degree to which the prosecutor is going to be able to successfully point to other problems on set that would heighten his mental state. And I kind of
Yeah.
pointed this out in my own analysis too.
You know what? Hang
The-
on.
the thing-
Criminal.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to say that, like, because recklessness is conscious disregard of a known risk. And so, to the degree that other things that were happening on set that were exposing problems and ship shoddiness and all the rest,
and this
it
is
would, to a
especially where
reasonable mind, heighten the awareness. Because if the handling of the firearm was a one-off versus it was the last thing in a series of signs
This
that not
is-
all was right, I think
Here
that
you go.
changed the legal analysis somewhat substantially.
This
Here
is
you go.
also where you get him on his his bragging about, I've been at this so long, and you're like, well,
Okay.
wasn't this
So yeah,
weird?
for you to
Like,
find recklessness, you must find willful disregard. Okay, I take it back. I take it back. That's just the correct, despite what the statute says, that's how it's been interpreted. And so New Mexico is consistent
Pretty
in
high
its
standard.
interpretation. So willful disregard. So I
That's
take
a high
it back.
standard.
The jury instruction is correct. And I'm man enough to say when I made a mistake, and okay, willful disregard is the correct standard. And if all you have is the issue with the gun, you're going to have a tough time getting there. Your only real hope of getting there is other things that were happening.
I think you do have to explain what willful is. Willful isn't like you formed the intent to do this thing. It is you acted with knowledge, like you going about the behavior with the knowledge that this was a risk. That is willful conduct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
willful disregard was something bad was going to happen.
Correct. You pointed a gun. The act of pointing the gun, you don't have any other intention. There's no other intention.
Right.
The act of pointing the gun, the physical act, is your willful conduct. So under that,
I don't know if I buy that. I mean, because it's the willful disregard of the rights or safety. If you thought that the firearm was safe because of externalities that were reasonable, particularly in the profession, then I think you're having a harder time getting there.
Is it going to be reasonable based on what was going on? And that's going to be where this becomes a
So I think this is going to be made or broken based on what else was happening on set that would have caused a reasonably prudent person to exercise increased caution. I think that's where it's going to come down to.
And I honestly
I'm going to say 25% to convict right now.
I'm going to say 70 to 80 on the lesser included negligent handling.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that happen.
That's pretty easy, right? Like if you go through all of his statements, I think that's in the bag.
Well, negligently based on this is willful disregard, and so you're back to recklessness.
But negligent handling, like just handling the firearm in a way that is negligent. Pointing it, I don't care. Pointing it in the direction of somebody else, even when instructed to
pointing
do
it at someone else, I'll give you. That seems
and pulling
I don't care. I don't care what
the manual does say never
point
it at someone.
Do not
never point it at someone. Yeah, okay. I buy that. I can work with that.
And pulling the trigger while pointing it at somebody.
Yeah, and I don't really care what the Film Actors Guild is trying to say is safe conduct. They don't get to define what safe conduct is. That's up to the rest of the citizenry who appoint, who actually elect their legislators who go and write these criminal statutes. So that's up to that's up to the people of the state of New Mexico.
Ultimately, that's true. Ultimately, that's true. But to the extent that Alec Baldwin was following industry trade practice in an industry that this established and this long lasting, if you can reach the conclusion that Alex Baldwin was in fact following industry standard practice, I think it's difficult to reach the conclusion that he was reckless. Now,
I don't know. There's
I'm not
so
saying
much
that he
wrong
was,
there.
but
there's so much. I mean, I look at his interviews. I look at his statements. His statements.
The interviews aren't helping. That's for damn sure. It's
the interviews.
Yeah.
And no, that's and if he takes the stand, he has a pretty good chance of torpedoing his case.
Oh, I mean, he's the kind of guy you just somebody out there is like.
So
I just want to. They're going to be fighting over who gets to cross-examine him.
I do appreciate that Friday Night Frenzy has turned into an actual legal discussion. This is fun.
It's fun. But here's the thing. So I disagree. Sets have
you all are learning things now.
And this is the point that I saw people making that I thought was the stupidest point in the world. I don't care if sets have common rules for safety. I might have a common rule for safety in my house.
This common rule can be bad.
I know. I might post that common rule on the wall in capital and bold point letters. If someone points a gun at you, they have the right to believe that gun is not loaded. That does not supplant criminal statutes. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Your common rules and common practice does not supersede criminal statute and criminal liability.
Yep.
That's the problem I have with it. Like I hate people that are going out there and saying it because you don't get to redefine criminal law just because you're an industry.
Well, ask a jury if they think it's reasonable under the circumstances or not, I guess, is where we're saying that. It's a question of fact, right?
Yeah. All right, let's catch up on some of the super chats and we'll go to our last one, which is going to make, oh no, Ian, you really don't want to watch the last one? One interview won't kill you.
might come.
I'm planning on doing
might-
a live react to it.
it might
with,
come.
I'm gonna try to do a live react with.
I'm
with
getting
Andrea.
whiskey. Hold on.
Yeah.
So
well, stick around
I
for some
don't
of the
want to.
superchats in case there are questions for you.
Fair enough. I don't want to spoil that for my take on that one.
Okay, fair. All right, let's go through some of these to make sure we catch everything that might have an argument for you. Be kind. Thank you very much. I think you were wrong about the left, guns, negligence, and life lost. Not taking responsibility for actions when human lives and safety are involved infuriates human beings left or right. I'm inclined to agree with this.
I don't
Millennial
think
me?
the thing about him being. I mean, he's not even a left wing darling.
He's not. He's just and I think that people are trying to make this political. When I say political, I mean just big power, big money against state.
He's got
That's what I'm
money.
saying.
That's what matters here. Nobody gives a crap about his political positions.
Yeah. Millennial me, thank you very much. Are you Baldwin? Leftist argument, see Depp v. Heard. I don't know what that is referring to, but
I don't know that that's a strong comparison.
oh, excuse me. Robin Silver, thank you very much. Can't wait for FNF to start. We are rolling. We're
How
2
far
hours in.
back was this?
I didn't play catch up at the beginning. I have a fever of 100 degrees right now, 101. So I'm
Jesus.
working my way through this stuff. Not bad, right?
Yep. No, not bad at all.
Just Sarah, I have to join Replay Crew this week, but I wanted to remind L&D lovers that Hardy's travel agency starts tomorrow, 10 a.m. Prototopics. I saw that. I think that's going to be so fun for so many
That's
people.
10 a.m.
following that.
Eastern though, so I'm gonna have to watch that on replay.
That's fine. MN
It's,
Mall. Thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, I think that I'm going to watch that on replay when I'm sitting in bed. So, Trisha Lynn, it's A-okay to be salty about Baldwin. He was in the classic Sweaty Balls SNL sketch back in the day. Salty and sweaty. True. Chrissy Lee, thank you very much. Feel better, Rob. This is for well wishes and to apologize for not being able to stay longer tonight. I'm recovering myself. Happy Friday all. Chrissy, thank you very much. I hope your recovery is going well. Get some rest, and I hope you're feeling better this weekend. B. Hartling, thank you very much. Are you telling us that Hogue is going to be dipping into Emily's swear jar when he comes back? I certainly hope so. Julie Bushy, thank you very much. Would love to hear all of your opinions on the Masterson jury foreman lying on questionnaire about his son's child essay conviction, not telling he is a former police. I saw reports on that. I am not well enough informed to give an opinion on that one.
Neither
I would
am I,
say that Alita, I know, was covering that trial quite extensively, and I think others were too.
I haven't been following it because, so
Yep.
If that's the case, I've got some concerns.
Yeah. Let's see. Mary Capola, thank you very much. Thanks for my membership here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Thank you, Mary, for being here. Very glad to have you here, and welcome. Stephanie Richards, thank you very much. I brought the screaming goat to work today to show my coworkers it's very possible that all the 8th grade teachers will be goat screaming students by the end of the week. Oops, thought you'd enjoy. Stephanie, I'm all for the chaos. Yes. Fantastic. Brentwood Chic, thank you very much. Please tell everyone to watch Hardy's Travel Agency tomorrow, 10 a.m. tomorrow on Prototopics channel. Please watch it if you can. Love you guys. Chat in the mods. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Brentwood Chic. Truffle Hound, thank you very much. Whoa. I had to put down the chainsaw and rewind that bit. John Ray III actually wrote dumpster fire. I thought that was hyperbole. Damn, Gina. Yeah, he wrote dumpster fire.
That was straight, and that wasn't hyperbole on his part either. It is a straight up dumpster fire.
Very much so. Here for years. Thank you very much. Wood Daddy, Leather Daddy, Stark Daddy. All three. Truffle Hound, thank you very much. I really should know better by now to not use a chainsaw whilst listening to the FTX stuff. That's reckless of me. I'll admit. I will say that that's probably a known risk that you're taking on willfully, knowing that I'm talking about FTX.
I hope you're wearing your chainsaw chaps and gloves and helmet and all of that good stuff.
Agreed. Midnight L 2008. If you need a good laugh as a palate cleanser, EDB discovered this week that a voice changer can change the goat's scream. It's amazing. It's terrifying. Ian showed us earlier.
I will resist the urge.
Peace, Peony. Check out Mark Jensen antifreeze murder retrial. One of the jurors knew a jailhouse witness by another name when the witness dated his sister a few years ago. Voir dire, judge, keep him on the panel. Interesting.
Huh.
One of the jurors knew a jailhouse witness by another name when the witness dated his sister a few years ago.
That could be some animosity.
I would say that that's disqualifying.
Yeah, I don't see that one as okay. Because, either the relationship ended well and there might be some sympathy, or the relationship ended badly and there might be some, but I mean, there's all sorts of things like, hey, he cheated on her and lied about it for 6 months. Like, that's the kind of thing that creates an impression as to credibility.
Mm-hmm. Troublehound, I agree with Mike. There's too much stupid to be coincidence. Increasingly, I believe humans peaked in the 90s, and we're on express train down now. I think that's a fair assessment. Andrew Pajek will take you all to the range if you come down. I'm just up the road from Santa Fe. I would be delighted to take you up on that.
Nice.
Offer. I'd be delighted. That'd be great.
Rob and Ian shooting competition.
Ian's gonna he would just destroy me in that one.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not that good.
Well, I think that'd be fun. Sandra Ramirez, thank you very much. Cursey Words Jar Fund. Thank you, Sandra. Rebecca, thank you very much. My husband got me a goat because I scream too much at football games. It will get used a lot this weekend. I sincerely hope so. Sparkling Dragon, thank you for the super sticker. Very much appreciated. Miss Derica, pronunciation guide. Miss T. Ricka. From the video game Tales of the Abyss, my VTuber is modeled after her. Mysterica. Okay.
Nice.
Thank you for the pronunciation. Yep.
Yeah.
I Mysterica. I will remember that. Thank you very much. Canonical Heat, thank you very much. A donation to get all of you at the trial, but you all have to have screaming goats. I think we'd get kicked out of that courtroom pretty damn quick.
Oh, I mean, remember the Depp trial where they were like, anything electronic, if you touch it, you are gone. I'm pretty sure that a screaming goat, you'd be so gone.
Yep.
What we need to do is bring a screaming goat and hand it to someone else.
Yeah, just get rid of it and say, you guys take it. I like that.
Just like quietly, don't use the screaming goat in the trial. Tempt.
Yep. Courtney, yes, thank you very much. If you are the DA, shouldn't you know your local laws? Why does she need to research her laws? You do.
You need
to research the case law. And you guys even saw when we pulled that statute up, it kind of sways our understanding of it a little bit. You have to do your research before you make these charges and before you go out and talk about them. So I do not fault her for doing that research at all.
I did legal research on the definition of mischief like a couple days ago, and mischief is a super common charge because it was just, this is an unusual circumstance. Does it meet the test? I got to know. So, yep, absolutely. I would actually be this is one you'd have to do the research.
Yep, indeed. Silver Gypsy Lady, thank you very much. Before you get real excited about trials in New Mexico, go watch the Cummings trial. Jay Robine covered it on his channel. I saw part of that. It was a dumpster fire. That trial was horrible. So I think, and someone made points about that earlier. I think that the points were well taken. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Sparkling Dragon, thank you very much. It's Friday Night Frenzy. It is indeed. 1 week off and we're back in the saddle. Pampered Shelly, is the Give Send Go that looks like a GoFundMe fake? Have you seen it? I have seen it. It is not fake. It is duplicative because some people are
don't
very
like
much
GoFundMe because GoFundMe ripped off the truckers.
Yeah. So that is a real thing. I will post a link in the description below to the video so you guys can see that. Lindsay, thank you very much. Rob, have you checked the New Mexico DA's website? EDB went to check for an official press release and lost her mind at how bad the website is. Have you seen that?
I got it from their Facebook page. I didn't see their webpage.
Oh, it's horrible.
I didn't. But the thing is that so many government pages look like there's something from the MySpace era. So does it have like a star thing that follows the cursor?
Does it have a view counter?
Yeah, view counter at the bottom.
Is how many people view this website?
It's
little portions of it that have the under construction dude.
It's pretty bad. So I'm giving a flashing warning, and by flashing I mean it's going to be there's flashing lights that are kind of obnoxious. They bothered the hell out of me when I saw them. So that's a warning to anyone who has flash or light sensitivity. This is going to bother you a little bit. Just giving you that warning so you can turn away if you don't want to.
Wow.
Meet your district attorney. Look at the lovely little snowflakes in the background.
Oh my God.
This is like MySpace era.
That's the totality of the information about our office.
Careers.
It's a lot of moving parts.
Do you have
careers? We are currently hiring web designer.
It's a lot of moving parts.
Job opening. See if web designer's on there.
Oh, look. That one's simple.
Why does it have the text appearing as you scroll? That's unnecessary.
I just hate the moving stuff.
Yeah, this is so bad.
So, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that website, but thank you, Lindsay, for pointing that out.
Hopefully
for
they
years-
misappropriate some of the money for this trial to get a web page.
Don't suggest it. Don't suggest that.
I'm suggesting.
In honor of
New
Mike, we need
Mexico
more
DA
exposed.
appropriate.
We need more exposed chests in the panel. Not right now, my dear. Nope.
Hard pass.
Yep. Tasana Burfoot, thank you very much. As a leftist, I think Baldwin should be convicted. I think a lot of people have that opinion about him right now, based on primarily his comments.
Yep.
Maureen Griffin, thank you very much. If he gets on the stand, he'll go full Amber. Yeah, probably. Him getting anywhere near that stand is the worst idea ever.
And I hope he insists.
I
hope
know he
Baldwin.
will.
Yeah.
Yep. Diana B, thank you very much. A large number of the crew walked off with safety concerns. They did indeed. K Rab, thank you very much. Baldwin isn't as well liked as he thinks. He is a JERK. I'm a lefty. I'd vote to convict. You are not alone in this chat. SAG. Some of our members are in Law and Order. We totally know what we're talking about. Thank you, Lindsay. That's pretty good. Yep. Phil Harrington, thank you very much. The armorer on the Crow was told that no firearms would be used the rest of the day and was sent home. They were running late and did not want to pay overtime. There are similar complaints about the armorer here, which comes back to kind of Baldwin in his capacity as producer.
No, that's totally a good thing to skimp on. We don't need them around.
Nothing
ever goes.
I mean, this
is the old joke about IT. Everything goes wrong. Why are we paying you? Nothing goes wrong. Why are we paying you?
Yeah.
Well, this is why, like, the armorers I talk to tell me, okay, I'm going home.
Yep.
Like, you're sending me home. Great. All the guns are going into the locked thing with the security alarm, and that's it.
Yep.
None of the guns get to stay out while I'm not here. So, yep.
It's like reasonable and like professional stuff.
Yep.
I don't
But yeah, this is part of the problem too. And this happened on this set as well. Adam Trapp, thank you very much. What if SAG is doing this because they secretly want him out of their hair? I don't think they are. I think they're doing this because they're
Hilarious,
terrified.
but no.
They're terrified of future charges and other cases. They don't want this to be. They're scared.
Yeah.
Trouble Hound, SAG, safety guidelines, point 1. How do I super chat a Kobe Bryant slam dunk gift? These guidelines convict him. 2 points, out of time, game over. The guidelines themselves, the fact that SAG pointed us to that very description. So, yeah, I was surprised by that. Thank you, Trouble Hound. New Zealand Butterfly Girl, Heather. Are there SAG penalties for not following these rules? Otherwise, there's no reason for people to follow them other than their own morals. Their guidelines, they openly say their guidelines. So,
yeah.
Crazy Cat Queen question. Did y'all know where your required OSHA safety guidelines are posted in your offices? I do. They're on the wall because I put them there.
I don't have a required OSHA safety guideline because I'm not in the States.
Correct. LJ Peach. That's how John Eric Hexam died. Goofing around and pointing the gun at his head and pulling the trigger.
I mean, don't do this, but if you're the kind of person who might do this, it's probably the safest part of your body to point the gun at.
Don't mess around
because
with
there's
it. Just
nothing
don't
in
do
there.
it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Claude Simeon, thank you very much. With firearms, ordinary negligence. What is ordinary? It just means that acting stupid. Basically, disregard of a risk.
Ordinary negligence is your standard automobile accident is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to driving a car like by swerving through traffic and speeding or driving drunk or something. Like the difference is you can anticipate that something bad is going to happen. You're maybe not sure exactly what it is, but something bad is going to happen. Whereas if you're just driving your car normally, you don't necessarily anticipate that anything bad is going to happen. It's like, it's not obvious something bad is going to happen. But if you know
And,
you're just
I
not
mean-
paying attention for 1 second and you lose attention, that's standard negligence. As opposed
Ordinary
to
negligence
just consciously disregarding and being like, I don't give a shit.
Ordinary negligence can be like all sorts of things. Kid pees on aisle 4, and you called like clean up on aisle 4, and it takes somebody a few minutes to get out there with a mop. Somebody falls in it. You can still be negligent for for that.
Why did the kid have to pee? You know that they can like spill juices, right?
Yeah, but that's not how kids roll.
Okay. Yeah.
If you fall in some strange liquid at the supermarket, don't taste it.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
God, Data Coker, thank you very much. You make such a good quadruple. Sorry, had to go for it. That's funny. Thank you, Theta. Sandra Ramirez, Rob, check your Twitter DM, sent you the statute. I did. I saw it. I pulled it up. That was the same statute we were looking at. And then we pulled the jury instruction as well. So if you scroll back, you'll see that we actually pulled that code section. But thank you for sending that. Very much
Looked at
appreciated.
the code. We had a debate. It was great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Virginia Tracy, speaking purely as a professional editor, those two phrases are absolutely not equivalent.
And apparently,
I guess this is in context of willful disregard and the criminal negligence.
yeah,
or recklessness.
yeah. So after reading it and looking, we conclude they are, because that's apparently how New Mexico rolls. So okay.
Yeah, it's just a different way of it's different. So their standards different than what I remember. But yeah, Crazy Cat Queen, exposing my ignorance. I didn't realize movie sets used real weapons till this case. Thought they were prop fakes because of the dangers. Generally speaking, well, the industry is trying to shift to using all props, from what I am aware of. But there are some hardcore people that recognize the prop for what they are, because you have to go back in and add the muzzle blast. You have to go back in and add the things via CGI, etc. If you're using a prop gun.
There's certain scenes you just cannot do with CGI.
Yeah.
One of the textbook examples is John Wick has done this. Equilibrium has done this. A bunch of movies do this because it's a great scene where you've got like a dark hallway and people are shooting and there's flashes of light that illuminate people.
Yeah,
that's got to be blanks. That's how that's done.
Yeah.
You can't CGI it because the light just isn't there.
Yep.
So
yeah. Sandra Ramirez, thank you very much. Is this the correct statute for Baldwin? New Mexico statute, involuntary manslaughter, negligent use of a weapon. A conviction of involuntary manslaughter by negligent use of a weapon requires negligent, which is ordinary. The negligent use of a weapon.
Yeah, but then we read it in the instruction where they define negligence.
Negligence.
And by negligence,
willful
it means recklessness. So we're back to willful disregard.
Yeah,
because
it's
that's
funny
how New Mexico rolls. Yeah,
they define negligence, criminal negligence, and recklessness are synonymous under New Mexico law. From what I'm looking at, I'm looking at the jury instructions. It says negligence and recklessness defined. So it combines the two of them and says this is what it is. So I don't know. We'll have to see, because the thing is there are clarifications to the instruction and there might be different precedent that I am not looking at. So I'll take a look at this a little bit more. I'm curious about that though. Heather, with regards to Baldwin, is it normal to announce that you'll be charging someone before charging them? Why do they do this?
No.
Is it just for PR?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It was weird. I
it.
think it was PR, and it was also PR, and I think it was also Emily had the theory that it might be to try to coordinate his surrender rather than trying to extradite. So, but I think it was PR. I think it was just you just charge him. So, yeah. Heather Loving, thank you very much. Did they need the gun loaded at all if they were only blocking an armor sent away? Hall got suspended, sentence, probation. EDB said statute says ordinary negligence is the standard with a weapon. I know we've talked about the ordinary standard, the negligence. Yes, negligence, criminal negligence, and recklessness under New Mexico, from what I'm looking at under the jury instructions, are almost identical.
After much debate, we've concluded they're the same thing.
So we'll have to take a look. I will look at more of it, and I'm always open to having my.
I'm willing to be proven wrong. I've already been proven
all the time
in this conversation today. I already said, well, I was wrong, and I got it correct. So
all the time, I'm happy to take a look at more of this, and I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong. Attorneys are wrong all the time. We just give our best based on the information we have.
Yep. I mean, this is also why you'll see us saying things like, "I think the odds are 40%," because a lot of it comes down to probabilities. You know, and guesses and so forth.
Yep. Mandalore Wise, thank you very much. Even with the only actors firearms training, they'd be taught the inherent danger of guns. Yes. Add to that, Alex, anti-gun activism is a done deal for me. I think a lot of people are going to reach the same conclusion. I think it's going to depend on the jury, to be honest.
I think his anti-gun activism really, and I mean, I'm a pro-gun guy. I think it's really a non-issue unless he gets up on the stand and gets slaughtered with it on cross. You knew guns are especially dangerous because you do all this anti-gun stuff, right? And if I was the prosecution, I'd be getting ready for that for the trial.
Well, and I'm not talking about the anti-gun stuff. I'm talking more about his interviews. If you go back and watch those, he tries to tell the detectives how guns work.
Yep.
And like he tries to tell them how this particular firearm works. And I was watching that going, oh, my friend, stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up.
Yeah. Trufflehound, thank you very much.
In honor of the Pop Brothers at Law, and because we are past the 2-hour mark, shut the fuck up Friday. It's every day of the week. It's really easy.
Yes.
Just stop talking.
We were waiting at that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stop talking. That's the theme of tonight's Friday Night Frenzy. People that just needed to remember.
Stop self-stitching. Be great.
Oh, it was so terrible. Trufflehound, if you're.
Oh, the thing is, even just the attitude displayed, even if he hadn't made any statements that were inculpatory, and he makes lots of inculpatory statements, just the attitude he displays and how he's like, I don't really give a shit, is tremendously bad.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Trufflehound, if you're looking at willful disregard and his knowledge of a known risk, he loses. He bragged about his tenure and experience as that's what I was saying before, and did the opposite of best practice and guidelines. That's what I said before.
Help.
His own statements are going to be what I'm using against him. Sparkling Dragon, thank you very much. Oh my God, Rob, Ian, John Oliver talked about Malort on Jimmy Fallon. Will you please watch and react to it? It's too funny. Was on last night, I believe. Thanks in advance. I'm going to have to pull that.
Another day. I'm probably
not now. Another day. I'm not going to be able to make it, but yeah. Yeah. Crazy Cat Queen, thank you very much. I think the problem might be that a non-lawyer may not know all these rules you're talking about. I wouldn't if I didn't have military training. That's where Baldwin's statements come back in.
And that's where experts come in and so forth.
Yep. Catherine S., thank you very much. Law number. The symptoms you have match mine when I had COVID. Please take a COVID test. I will take a COVID test. A COOF test. I shouldn't be saying that, period, but who cares? I'll take a test. I don't feel that bad, to be quite honest. So I'll take a test.
If you don't take the test, you can't be confirmed positive. That's the real trick.
I'm just gonna.
If it was like my round, you won't feel that bad right up until you feel real bad.
All right, I promise you guys I'll take a test.
Yeah.
What's the point of taking the test? Because there's nothing you can do for it.
Because it doesn't hurt you to take it.
You can actually do something about it, and I will say that having the test.
We're not going.
Let me.
YouTube.
Talk to your doctor. They might be able to do things for you.
Yep.
Doctor.
We're not doing the YouTube. We're not doing the YouTube. The YouTube monsters.
Yeah. We're sorry, Mama Susan. We're sorry for the wrong thing.
Talk to your doctor.
Please don't punish Rob. What I meant to say is that it's highly contagious, and you should absolutely get tested and make sure to.
We're just not going to even. We're not going to even say anything. We're just going to move on. Right, I'm not feeling well. I will take certain tests. I think that's a fair me cutting people off because I have seen people get hit for less. Nancy Kane, hey Rob, missed you. That's not your fault, Kurt. I think you were fine.
He's going to take the LSAT.
Nancy Kane, hey Rob, missed you last week. Did you have fun at SawCon? Did the number of people?
We were going on about how you were at SawCon.
It's just Kurt, you can own that one for the rest of your just.
Oh, that was a brilliant setup.
It was the best setup ever.
Feral so Dragon. Excited when you heard about it too. I was watching it back.
I was so happy. Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. Feral Dragon, thank you very much. You all know what? New Mexico is very pro-gun ownership and very pro-gun accountability. That whole Four Corners area, jury will be tough. I don't know. Santa Fe is a little bit different than that. So I think it's going to be curious. M169, thank you very much. Rob, stay hydrated, get some rest. 101 isn't nothing, but let that fever do its job. Fighting infection, feel better soon. I have been. I'm going to get a ton of rest. I'm going to bed. Barney Cat, thank you very much. Get your ass to bed, Rob. I will. Don't worry. Did Mama Morton leave before the goat? If so, is she glad? Mama Morton's back in Arizona. She left before the goat. Well, she heard the goat. She likes the goat. It's funny. Susan Ray, New Mexico is a very poor state and can't afford to hire the best quality people. I'm a resident of Santa Fe, so this is my pain. I'm very curious about Santa Fe. I want to see where this case goes.
I want to go visit.
I do too.
It's
on your law tube
Do you
house.
think-
It's happening.
Do you think Baldwin would glare at us the way
Law
Herb did
tube
the one
house is
day?
happening. We'll do shifts and everything. We'll have 24/7 law tube. We'll do shifts of reporting. Shifts in the courtroom will be great.
Do you think Baldwin will have his sister show up and glare at us?
Don't. Tired mom gamer, Hardy's blue cheese would help with that fever. Take care, Rob. Thank you very much. And I think that blue cheese is the opposite of what I need. FD Food Fairy, rent a New Mexico house. I'll be your food fairy chef. I don't think this is going to trial. I think this is going to plea out.
My bet is
I have my
trial.
doubts.
Oh gosh, if it goes to trial, I will be watching every minute of that if I can. LK Ryden, the webpage just killed my ADHD. Yeah, it's bad. That webpage is rough. Island, thank you very much. Serious question. Who will play AB in the movie of his trial? Sending restful healing vibes, Rob. Who will play Alec Baldwin in the movie of his trial? Alec Baldwin. Or no, his brother. Probably his brother. One of the Baldwins. How much shade would that be if another Baldwin played him? Adam Project, thank you
What
for
they
watching.
should do is actually have Adam Baldwin play him.
That's what I was saying. One of the other
Adam Baldwin, no, the other brother.
No, Adam Baldwin's not related to him in any way.
Oh, which one's Adam Baldwin?
Adam Baldwin's the guy who played Jane on Firefly, which is something you need to watch because I know you haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I know Adam Baldwin. That'd be funny.
Adam Baldwin is really pro-gun, will have no patience for Alec Baldwin's BS, looks nothing like Alec Baldwin, which makes it even funnier, and will play the role in a way to just absolutely mock the crap out of him.
It would just be one of the other Baldwins playing would be so yeah. During the time of 2020 and the goof, there was a required crew separation, so it's possible Armour couldn't be on set at the same time as the talent. Nope, that was disproven. Period.
Yeah, it was money.
Yep, that was in the FBI and the OSHA report. Truffle Hound, thank you very much. Would be excellent to bring in another actor to discuss the expertise in firearms on a film set, just as random say Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves isn't just another actor who's an expert.
Hey,
I mean, he is
Keanu,
a firearms expert.
Come on my channel anytime. Seriously, you've got an invite. Yeah, I don't imagine that's going to happen, but I would love to see it. I had Christina Pickles on my channel. I've had an Armorer on my channel. Yeah, I would love to see that, but we'll see.
Yep. House Hippo, does go make something you'll feel better apply to fevers? Feel better, Rob? Thank you, House Hippo. I will try my very best. Here for years, we really need FNF with Mama Morton. We're gonna let her do her thing in Arizona until she comes on back, so we're fine. New Mexico House, thank you, Crazy Cat Queen. I volunteer to deliver alcohol. We're gonna need a lot of it with Baldwin. So that gets us caught up. So Ian, the next thing I'm transitioning into is the interview with what's his name. So if you want to jump off, go ahead and do that. The interview is not too long. I just want to react and scream a little bit.
I got to bow out on that one because I'm trying to do that as sort of a live react with Andrea. And I don't want to say, hey, Andrea, come on my channel for a live react on that. And then be like, oops, sorry, did it behind your back. I'd feel bad about that.
Yeah, this one's bad. This is bad. So best of luck to you. I'm going to make
the knowledge of what they're suggesting there kind of ticks me off. So yeah. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Thank you for having me on and enjoy the chaos. And also, Rob, I'm going to echo the thing everyone in chat has been saying.
Get rest.
Go to bed.
I will. This interview is not long. This is the last part of it. We're gonna get it done.
Okay, chat.
Just let me get through. Let me get through this interview. That is the only thing. I promise. I'm not staying up late. Just the interview, and then we'll be gone.
All right. Good stuff.
See you, buddy. All right, Kurt, you ready for Swoopy Swoop and interview that's gonna make you mad?
Swoop me, baby.
Swoop. Oh, let's do it again. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, I will probably say this again at the end of the stream, but just in terms of upcoming stuff on my channel next week, starting Monday, if possible. I'm not sure if they're streaming on Monday because it's jury selection, but starting whenever they're starting, I'll be doing the Alex Murdaugh trial out of South Carolina. So this is a John Grisham novel come to life. Alex Murdaugh was an attorney in the Low Country, South Carolina, and his family for 4 generations has been the chief prosecutor of Low Country, South Carolina. And he's on trial for murder of his wife and son. And also, unrelated to that, last time I checked, it's hard to keep track. I think we're at 15 separate indictments for like 83 other felonies relating to monetary fraud. So some of that might come up. So anyways, that's going to be on my channel. We'll do gavel to gavel coverage. Monday it's starting, but it's jury selection. I don't think that part's being filmed. But whenever it is, please come over to my channel, check it out. And if Rob, of course, you're more than welcome to come in and drop by and see how that's going. It could be a really interesting case, especially based on some of the preliminaries. The attorneys look really, really good. Could be some really good.
Do look good, and I have been.
Could be some great legal advocacy.
I've been really impressed with the judge too.
Yeah. So it could be great all the way around. So it could be a really fantastic, fun to watch case. So
and yes, it's
uncivil
Murdaugh,
law for Alex Murdaugh starting next week.
It's Murdaugh. We know it's Murdaugh, but it just reads Murdaugh. I have been calling it Murdaugh all the time. It's freaking hard. So Murdaugh. But either way.
So they are on Monday per Court TV. So if they're on Monday, then I'll be streaming it on Monday. Yep. I'll be up and ready to go either way. I already have my thumbnail produced.
Ooh. Do I get a preview?
Sure. Let me pull it up. I'll share it with people. Let me find it. That's the right one.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Present, share, yes. We're on tab. No? Not this one? No.
While he's doing that, Sarah Lee, thank you very much. Why do they not show member chats? StreamYard. I can't see them. If I could see them, I would pull them all up. I cannot see them. It drives me crazy, and it's the member chats and gifted memberships. I can't see it. I wish I could because I do want to highlight it. I've been trying to do more members-only content. To the extent that I feel better on Sunday, I might be in the shop again, so we'll see. But yeah.
So available now.
Let's see. There we go. Ooh,
very exciting. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to change the graphic on the left every day, obviously, in addition to changing the day. So I'll keep the right for the booking shot. So this is Charleston, South Carolina, with the palmetto trees and stuff like that. So got that going on. So we'll do different images of South Carolina every day. So that's what it looks like. So if you want to turn in on Monday, you can expect to see that thumbnail. So very exciting and fun.
I'll be watching at the very least for opening and closing. I do want to catch a lot of that. So,
yes.
All right. So let's look at this. So Brian Coburger is being charged with the murders of 4 individuals in Idaho. He was extradited from Pennsylvania to Idaho to face those charges. And there was an attorney appointed after he was arrested in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And that attorney was appointed for the very limited purpose of advising him in connection with the extradition process. And that's it. That was the scope of his appointment. Well, this attorney likes to give statements. And this was the most recent one that I found, which I wanted to I watched some of this and I was like screaming. So here we go.
Of the man and in the context of the situation.
The man is an intelligent man, Brian. He was easy to talk to. He was aware of the situation.
Why? Right off the bat, 3 seconds in, are you out of your fucking mind? Why? So the reason I'm pissed, everything that you are told or everything you discuss with your attorney is confidential and privileged. That privilege does not belong to you, the attorney. It belongs to the client. That is the client's privilege. You cannot forsake it. You cannot You cannot disregard it. Everything you learn in those discussions is likewise privilege. For example, if you're speaking about the mental state and mental impressions of the individual that you represent, the only way you would have learned that is by observing them in that communication and speaking with them, which means that the information that you're speaking about is privileged information. 3 seconds in.
Yep. Yeah. We sided at the same time, Jinx.
It gets so much worse.
Really, it was a great conversation that we had given the circumstances of everything involved.
You say that he told you he was shocked that he was arrested. How so?
Why are you saying what he told? Oh! The very definition of privilege is what he fucking told you. And
why?
I believe he was shocked by the moment that the police broke his door down, had guns in his face. He was unaware that that was going to happen, and he was really shocked by the arrest. He wasn't expecting it, obviously.
To be clear, you drafted a statement with and for your then client, the accused, in which he said, "I will be exonerated." Those were not your words, but do you agree with his assessment?
That is the only fair part of his statement, the entire part. The statement he drafted with his client. Client says, you can go out there and give this statement. That's the only thing he's allowed to talk about. Oh. And Chris Cuomo, of course, Chris Cuomo is going, do you believe he's innocent? Tell me the truth. Oh.
I agree. That's what he had said to me, that he believed that he would be exonerated, which I believed implicitly that he was innocent of the crimes.
Now that is we're both lawyers. You're just a better one.
I don't know about that.
Oh. Press X'd it out. Press X'd it out.
Gotcha, bitch.
Oh my God. Look at the smile. Oh my gosh. What an appropriate pause. What an appropriate pause game. You're just a better one. This is so bad. This one, I think, is probably one of the worst ones he's done. I've seen the other ones. Yeah. So.
I do. Your zealous representation responsibility is to do everything you can to advance his cause under law. That's zealous representation. You
That's
do
rule
not have to
1.1.
say you believe he
Rob,
is
do you
innocent.
know what rule
You can say
1.6
he's
is
not
at the
guilty
top of your
charges.
head?
They can't make the case.
Attorney-client privilege. Yeah.
That'd be the one.
That would be the one.
I think that they're speaking out of school. I don't think they have what they think. There's a whole range of qualifying statements. But innocent is something else. Innocent is that you believe he did not do this. Do I have it accurate?
Well, I don't want to put those words in my...
Shut the
I just like to point out that there at the moment it is 100% true. He is innocent. I mean, you can say that he's innocent. He is in fact innocent.
He is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Period.
He's
He is
innocent until proven guilty. That hasn't happened yet, so he must be innocent. So, yeah.
He walks into that courtroom. Now, is there probable cause to hold him over for trial? Yeah, I think it's there. But that's holding him over for trial. He's still presumed innocent until he's adjudicated guilty. And why are you giving an opinion one way or the other? You were the defense attorney. Shut the hell up. Stop talking. if I'm the bar, I'm giving a very uncomfortable phone call to this attorney. Oh,
mouth. He said he was eager to be exonerated, which I believed him to mean that he believed he was innocent. I wasn't judging
yes,
the
of course.
case at that point in time. I didn't have the affidavit of probable cause. I knew none of the facts, and I didn't ask Brian about any of the facts or circumstances surrounding the case either.
Okay, that is very important, and I apologize because I have been slapping you around for making such a heady assessment so early in the case. But now that we put out the statement and you're saying, no, this is what he told you, and that was your takeaway about how he felt about his own situation. Very different. I apologize for any other inference. I'm glad we cleared it up. Now, once you saw the affidavit, what do you think now?
I said from the beginning, I read it 4 times through before I think I got most of it soaked in. I felt that it was a strong circumstantial case that's likely to possibly get stronger based upon other evidence that I would expect. But there's certainly holes. Whether or not the prosecution can close those holes is another story for another day.
Why are you saying these things?
What is your biggest concern?
The fact that you're
the
talking.
biggest concern is obviously his DNA on the sheath of the knife that was found in the room.
Why are you saying these things?
Are you kidding me? I think the biggest concern is the DNA on the sheath.
Why are you saying any of these things? Like even a little bit. Why are you talking? What? A lawyer shall not reveal information relating to the representation of a client unless the client gives informed consent, disclosures, and explicitly authorized to carry out the representation. Or a lawyer shall make reasonable efforts to prevent the inadvertent or unauthorized disclosure of or unauthorized access to information relating to representation of a client. Yeah.
This is. Let's do this. Let's just keep listening. I'm going to pull the fucking rule up. I'm too pissed.
A lawyer who has formally represented a client in a matter shall not thereafter use information relating to representation to the disadvantage of the former client.
Yep. All right. We're going to keep watching. And then I'm going to pull up the damn rule because I have it up.
Room next to the Mogan body.
We have to know what kind of DNA it is because there's a suggestion that goes like this, that it wasn't him. It was somebody he knew who he was with. Without violating, or this would only help his cause, do you have any reason to believe that it could have been somebody else? That he wasn't alone?
Oh, Chris, I love that you baited him at that. Everything out of this attorney's mouth, nothing out of the attorney's mouth helps his cause. Nothing. Every word you say does not help you. It only hurts you.
Alone. That the man who was shot in the shootout.
Side note, don't you love they pulled up a random K-bar? Like that is a random, that is a K-bar, but that's just a random K-bar.
Yeah.
Out at Washington State University, the security guard, is he relevant?
I don't have any knowledge of another person being involved. Again, I never asked Brian any of the facts and circumstances surrounding the case. I made that clear from the moment I sat down with him that I was simply there to represent him for the extradition proceedings and that his attorney in Idaho would really be taking the case over and would want to hear his story first.
Is it unusual, even with that admonition, that people don't tell you why they're innocent and why they didn't do this, and here's what's wrong with this situation? Help me, help me.
Oh, yes, please comment on all your clients.
I've never had it like this quite before where
He's really going to do this. I need to back up. He's really going to talk about his clients.
He's really talking about his clients in comparison to all his other clients. That's good.
He is. He's really going to talk about this.
Help me.
It was certainly a unique situation for me. I've never had it like this quite before, where such serious charges an individual was facing. But I really wanted to make sure that he understood that I didn't want to know about the facts and circumstances. And I did cut him off several times before he was able to tell me anything about the case.
Jesus.
Rule
He asked when he
3.6,
was
a lawyer
arrested,
who's
we are
participating
told,
in the
has anyone
investigation or
else
litigation
been
matter
arrested?
shall not
Does
make
that sound right to
extrajudicial
you?
statements
That's
that
my
they will be
understanding of
publicly
what's
disseminated
out
and will
there.
harm the proceeding.
When I spoke to Brian about what he said to the police,
Joe, tell me he's going to talk to. Oh, no.
I spoke to Brian about what he said to the police, and he did speak to police for approximately 5 to 15 minutes.
Why are you saying
before
this?
invoking his Miranda rights. He couldn't
Why?
recall
this?
what
Why?
he had actually said.
Why? There goes any argument about Miranda. Why are you making these arguments? Why are you saying this out loud? Shut
So
up.
your client told you that he talked to the police for 5-10 minutes before Miranda,
Before invoking Miranda? It's a great thing to
you're
admit that.
you're sharing that information that your client told you in the confidential communication with them. I'm having issues, Rob.
I told you this was the worst one. Have you seen the other ones?
The car one was pretty bad.
This one's bad.
Said to them.
Did his disposition, his demeanor to you, play as someone who was or was not connected to what happened?
I can't comment on
I don't
that
really
because
wanna
that would
judge
relate
that.
directly to
I
my
treat
representation.
My clients with respect and build a rapport with them, even for the short period of time that I was speaking.
No. Come on.
No, God!
And build a rapport.
No, God, please, no! No!
This is so bad.
No!
I don't really want to judge that. I treat my clients with respect and build a rapport with them, even for the short period of time that I was speaking with Brian. I wanted his trust for that short period of time so he understood what I was trying to do for him. I thought was in his best interest. I still believe what I'm doing for him even now is in his best interest.
Oh, I would disagree with you, sir. Because you have said that he was calm and he understood what was happening as of the time it was happening, that he was surprised when he was arrested, as anyone would, but he was calm. I'm going to read that out loud. In my opening statement, I will say, you will hear from his very attorney. And yes, that might surprise you because it's the attorney, but the attorney went out and made statements. You will hear in this trial from his very attorney that when presented with the warrant for arrest, that he was calm and understood the charges facing him. And he didn't really react very much. You're not prejudicing him at all.
So I really wanted to build that rapport, and I don't question things like that, especially
Counselor, I
without seeing the
appreciate it.
affidavit of probable cause.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to News Nation.
Nope.
I think the host is a better attorney than the.
I generally would disagree. But in this particular case, I think you might be right. Pennsylvania rules of professional conduct. These are the rules of professional conduct for Pennsylvania. A lawyer shall not reveal information relating to representation of a client unless the client gives informed consent, except for disclosures that are impliedly authorized in order to carry out the representation. The representation in this case is done. Extradition, that's it. You are not impliedly authorized to do shit. and except as stated in paragraphs B and C. B, a lawyer shall reveal such information if necessary to comply with the duty stated in Rule 3.3. Rule 3.3 is cantered to the tribunal. If your client is knowingly lying and you know that they are lying, you have a duty to correct that to the judge. That's Rule 3.3. That's not here. C, a lawyer may reveal such information to the extent that the lawyer reasonably believes necessary. Tell me this guy reasonably believes any of this shit is necessary to prevent reasonably certain death or substantial bodily harm. Clearly not the case. To prevent the client from committing a criminal act that the lawyer believes is likely to result in substantial injury to the financial interests or property of another. Clearly not the case. Coburger is detained. To prevent, mitigate, or rectify the consequences of a client's criminal or fraudulent act in the commission of which the lawyer's services are being or had been used. Clearly not the case. To establish a claim or defense on behalf of the lawyer in a controversy between the lawyer and the client. Also not a case. To secure legal advice about the lawyer's compliance with these rules. Also not the case. To effectuate the sale of a law practice. Not here. To detect and resolve conflicts of interest. Not here. To comply with other law or court order. Well, that's kind of funny because there's a court order in place in Idaho that says if you are part of the investigator or an attorney representing anybody, including the witnesses, including the victims, you shut the fuck up. It goes even further. Rule 1.6D goes even further. A lawyer shall make reasonable efforts to prevent the inadvertent or unauthorized disclosure of or unauthorized access to information relating to the representation of the client. So they don't just have a duty not to say stuff. They have to make efforts to prevent the inadvertent or unauthorized disclosure, whether it's by them or other people. And this is great. The duty not to reveal information relating to representation of a client continues after the client-lawyer relationship has terminated.
Yep. Yep. It lasts forever. 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 Forever.
This is I don't really care. This is just all of it's terrible. Are you sure this isn't what's giving you the raised temperature? Yeah, I'm sure it was raised before I read any of this. Although this doesn't help. This doesn't help. Like, could you not? I mean, the thing is, there are rules that are vague, and there are things that are built into these rules that aren't really the most clear
Attorney-client
thing.
privilege is pretty core, Rob. It's just like I appreciate it. No, but that's one of those core rules.
It's pretty much all the things. It's the rule. It is the rule.
Other than don't fuck with the client's money and be borderline competent. Yeah, that would be one of the big three. Don't fuck with the client's money. Don't fuck with the client. Don't fucking betray the client's secrets. Those are big ones.
Yeah, and I do see people commenting the gag orders in Idaho. It is in Idaho. However,
yeah, he's in Pennsylvania.
You're also an idiot. If you have a court in another jurisdiction that's entering an order that's clearly directed at comments you're making.
Yeah.
Am I really doing that?
The gag order is not the biggest problem. As we point out, the rules of ethics guide him no matter what the gag order is. So the gag order can exist or not exist. He still has duties to his client regardless.
The Pennsylvania bar. Like that yeah. We just read the rule, guys. I don't know if I can get more clear than that and how this is an absolute fuck.
Can we watch the car interview so we can lose what little bit of hope we have left?
No, I can't do that. That will keep me awake. Oh.
Hey Rob, why don't you tell me about some of the conversations you had with your clients earlier today at work?
I politely declined to give any information about conversations that I have with clients.
Was your client in a good mood and did they have full understanding of everything that you were discussing with them?
Or even the fact that I had a conversation at all with any particular client. I'm not going to tell you whether I had conversations at all with anybody. No, you don't get any of that information. Nothing.
Just one little baby secret. One little baby secret.
One little baby secret. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. No, everything about that was terrible. There is no redeeming benefit to that. And I hope that he just gets I don't usually wish ill on attorneys and fellow members of the bar. However, in this particular case, I think this is doing significant harm. So,
yeah. Which brings in Rule 3.6. You can't use information to prejudice the client.
you can't. This is everything about this is bad. So let's just roll through super chats, and then I'm gonna go and decompress.
Do I have an
after watching
obligation now to tell the bar about it, or do they already know? They probably have a heads up.
Oh, just freaking terrible. Theta Coker, thank you very much. Just watched Jimmy Fallon thing. Malort's mentioned. I missed it, but I'm old, so I'll have to take a look. Sarah Lee, thank you very much. Hope you feel better. Check your Insta. I will. Thank you very much. Karate Cat Mom. So, does attorney-client privilege get opened like a door? Nope. It belongs to the client. Now, I get to use those attorney statements, and they have to explain it, but the client is the one that owns the privilege.
Yeah.
Allie QOD, the lawyer broke Kurt. Broke both of us. Sarah Lee, it's bad, Rob. I'm not even a lawyer. It's probably the worst thing. It's one of the worst things I've seen. And there's no wonder that every single media relations person is asking him for comments, because if he's going to tell you, shit, do it. Trufflehound, there's not enough wine in my house to handle this level of Muppet. Fair assessment. Sarah Behal, thank you very much. Behal. Feel better soon. Excited I finally made it Friday Night Frenzy live. Thank you for being here, Sarah. Pam Marshall, what, if any, 15 minutes of fame is this guy going for? Ooh, I see what you did there. This makes me more mad than any what if any. You could not what if any to get me anywhere near this level of frustration. Courtney, thank you very much. Rob, you facepalmed so hard during the PA lawyer's Cuomo interview that you got yourself out of focus. That's how we can tell you're heated. I didn't realize that, but thank you for drawing my attention to that. Thank you, Courtney. Against a tie, deep breaths, Rob. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3. Breathe out, 1, 2, 3. Drink lots of water. I have a big bottle of water downstairs waiting for me. Trufflehound, thank you very much. The Muppet is strong with this one. It's so bad. Era Scorpion, thank you very much. My theory, this lawyer was already wanting to stop working and just taking advantage to get some extra money to retire on. Well, he's going to have to retire. And by the way, to the extent, and I was talking about this with somebody else, to the extent that a lawyer seeks to profit off of attorney-client privileged information, they get disgorged of those profits.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was the attorney representing OJ and I went out to try to write a book saying this is why my client did it, every profit that gets made by that gets disgorged. I don't get it. So that would be very curious. I think this lawyer, I think if I'm Coburger, I'm going after every single dollar that he made in media commentary to try and pay for my defense.
Why not?
That's not a bad idea. If I'm the public defender representing him in Idaho, I might try to disgorge those media fees. I kind of like that idea. Okay. Thank you, Air Scorpion. Jesse, thank you very much. Question: what consequences can this lawyer face for violating his client's privilege? No more bar license, no more employed, no more working, no money profiting off of the information gathered. Kathy Harris, thank you very much. I thought there was a gag order on this, so this type of stuff would not happen. The gag order applies to Idaho and Idaho only. The court in Idaho cannot extend its jurisdiction beyond its state borders. Trufflehound, thank you very much. This guy woke up and had a full plate of Muppet on toast for breakfast, then washed it down with a glass of bar complaint. Salty bar complaint. Yep. I've got words. Thank you very much. Question: how do we know if Brian gave him consent or not? Is a separate document that must be filed and signed by a judge? No, consent itself has to be informed, but it's also one of those things where the consent that is given to provide or give information that is gained in confidence is specific in nature. I can't just go out and say these were my observations, period. Every single thing that I am going to reveal, I better have consent, direct and specific consent for revealing that piece of information. So, yeah. Whiskey 77. What are the odds PA dingus lawyer gets disbarred or at least suspension? I don't know how they have not asked for an expedited hearing on a suspension. I do not know how, because he keeps doing these interviews. I do not get it. Truffle Hound, how have we stuffed up here? Is it possible this Muppet is a barista, not a barrister? I like that one. That was pretty good. Heather, 1, is his speaking going to affect the trial? 2, is he going to be in trouble for talking like this? 3, is Chris still a lawyer, and will asking these questions affect his license? So 1, speaking to affect the trial. Hard to say. I don't know at this point. It's so
I doubt very
early
much
on.
it will affect the trial. It's a long way away. And
Realistically, it's still a ways off. And look, the trial is going to be based on the evidence they have that put him in that room doing those acts, not so much how he behaved afterwards. 2, is he going to be in trouble for talking like this? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm very curious. 3, is Chris still a lawyer, and will asking these questions affect his license? If you're a lawyer, you're a lawyer. You don't just stop becoming a lawyer. You might not be practicing, but you're an attorney. You're trained as an attorney. So I don't know if he's still practicing or if he still has active bar license. But no, it doesn't affect you asking these questions. You're allowed to ask these questions. It's up to the lawyer answering them to not answer them. Amanda Lang, thank you very much. Quick, funny to lower your blood pressure, then go to bed. I will do my best. Lily Phoenix, thank you very much. Not going to lie. Of like righteous indignation, Rob. Not going to lie, kind of like righteous indignation, Rob. How would the court go about dealing with this attorney? Also, high on civil. I'm an uncivilian. Well,
excellent.
That's wonderful. Thank
we
you.
love all the uncivilians. Thank you. It helps the channel continue to exist. Since this is my full-time gig now, I need the channel to grow and thrive. And with all your guys' support, it's been going great. So, and hopefully this trial that we're doing, the Alex Murdaugh trial starting on Monday, will continue to help the trial grow and thrive and all the rest of it and stuff.
That trial is going to be wild. But yeah. So how's the court going to deal with this? So the court is unlikely to have a jurisdiction over this attorney. It's going to be the bar. So we'll see how they deal with it. Kimberly Fisher, thank you very much. Rob, he is the chief prosecutor. He's the chief public defender for that area. He is the PD.
Oh, he's the head public defender, and he treats it this way. No, that's even better information. These guys are drinking right out of the bottle.
Yep. Lynn, I wonder if some other attorney or judge in Pennsylvania told him to shut up. This I view is more low-key than the others.
On good news, there's now a new opening for head public defender. So
there might be. Keep an eye on that if you want that job. Bobbit, thank you very much. I used to live in New Mexico. The culture there is such that all the jurors will know to treat every gun as loaded. A bunch of people have said that. I'd be curious too. We're going to follow that case just because Baldwin can't help but make statements. So we'll see what goes. Steph L, thank you very much. What do clients do if a lawyer breaks privilege? They sue the lawyer and they tell him to shut up. And they win. So yeah. Grace Cat Queen, I want someone to ask him on air about his ethical responsibilities to his former client. I would like that too. I would like to have the opportunity to read that rule out loud to him and ask him to respond how it's not violating that rule. So I would be very curious. Bittersweet heart, but then again, that would be the end of the interview, and the reporters aren't going to do that because they don't want the interview to end. Bittersweet heart Forge 6 and 2. Can we use the GOAT as a buzzer for each time he breaks ACB? Attorney-client privilege, feel better, Rob? Thank you very much. I think we might need to at some point. Rachel Mills, young thug, did a drug exchange in front of a judge in court for a RICO charge. Thoughts? Oh, and Elizabeth Holmes going to Mexico. I saw the Elizabeth Holmes buying the one-way ticket to Mexico. That was in 2021, I think. So we'll see.
How's that girl? Anytime she can start her prison term, that'd be great.
That'd be wonderful, considering she's paying $13,000 per month for her living expenses. So that was funny to read. I was kind of frustrated. I didn't see the drug exchange in front of the judge, but that's interesting. Here for years, thank you very much. Drink tea from fresh lemon, ginger, and honey. Better than any chemical medicine. I will do that. I have tea and water waiting for me downstairs. Melissa S., thank you very much. What makes him trade a career for a few interviews? I don't know. He likes the way he sounds. I don't understand it. Sparkling Dragons, thank you very much. Tonight's gift fairies: Cindy T, Adam Trapp, Chris Mullen, Courtney R. Bauer. Sorry if I missed any. Thank you, everyone. Sparkling Dragon, thank you for drawing that to my attention. Thank you, everyone, for the gifts, memberships. At some point in time, you know, StreamYard's going to figure this out. So I'm looking at them now. I've got, so Lynn, thank you very much for 5 gifted memberships. Cindy T, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Adam Trapp, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Samantha Steinis, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Chris Mullen, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Courtney, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. R. Bauer, thank you for the 6 gifted memberships. Thank you everybody for that. It's really amazing. I'm going to try to put out more members content. The shop stream went so well last time. I think I'm going to try and do that again in the very near future. Kat W, thank you very much. Great seeing all of you guys tonight. Thanks for all the updates. Heart you, Rob. Hope you feel better very, very soon. Thank you very much, Kat. And with that, that is the end of all of the super chats. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to follow all of your instructions and get my butt to bed. Kurt, as always, thank you very much. I very much needed the snark tonight. We needed it so bad.
Happy to help. And I appreciate the discussion. We had some good ones there too. It was fun.
We did. It was more than just the standard like laugh, but I think it was fun too. So
it was fun.
Yeah. Everyone in the chat, thank you very much.
Monday, check my channel out.
Murdaugh. Yep. Everyone, please.
I'm a South Carolina native, so I'm claiming some
claiming South Carolinian
home field
status
advantage on this one. I grew up in Columbia, went to school at Clemson, so I lived in the state for 22 years. So, you know, I have some familiarity with the state. So, hey.
Yeah, guys, go check out all of my friends, Ian Runkle, Law Talk with Mike, Kurt, Mr. Uncivil Law. Please go check out their content. Subscribe if you do like the content. I very much encourage you to do so. If you have not done so, there are still 2,700 of you here. If you wouldn't mind liking the video, and if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. I'm going to try and get, once I feel better, putting out more and more content as the week goes on. We've got a lot of cases to cover. There's too many cases that you're going to find a different case on every single person's channel. You're going to do it. There's just too much going on. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a wonderful weekend. Kurt, thank you for being here. And until next time, I'm going to bid you all good evening.